Hi y'all, good morning from South Carolina. I'm back on Lake Moultrie today, going to do some catfishing on Santee Cooper, getting ready for a tournament tomorrow. I'm bringing y'all with me, man. This tournament preparation, I'm bringing y'all with me as I just kind of eliminate water, try to figure out what works, what doesn't work. And today I'm gonna be fishing another place that I've never been to before. I just launched my kayak back over here, and there's another boat over there fishing, so I've come out here a little ways because y'all know I don't like talking on camera around other people in the public and whatnot. So I've come out, give them some distance, give me some distance, and we're going to start right here. And what my plan is today, I'll pull up the map. I don't know how to get that thing off there. Every time I touch that thing, it puts like a mark, but I don't mean to do that. But anyway, we're going to start right here, and we're going to troll our way on out this old creek bed and progressively make our way out here into the main lake, kind of out into open water. Going to start out dragging baits because right now we're kind of shallow. We're 10 feet right here. Once we, as I drop my glasses here, right in the daggone bait mess, man. I'm going to clean these things up, man. But anyway, we're going to start out dragging exclusively. Now, once we get out a little bit deeper water, we're going to do two things. We're going to suspend a bait for catfish, and we're also going to drop down a bait rod over here and try to pick us off some perch, bluegill, whatever the heck we can to try to get us some extra catfish bait in preparation for the tournament tomorrow. I really want to be loaded up on bait. So anyway, enough of me flapping my gums. Let me get us some baits on, and we're going to get started today, folks, as I've smeared that chicken stuff all over my glasses here. Lord mighty, folks, we're off to a hell of a start here. We are getting started a little bit later than what I had anticipated. It was kind of another situation. I wanted to wait till I could see this morning since I'm not familiar with this area, and kind of just get out here just right after sunrise. That was kind of the goal today. So all I'm gonna do, these baits I have, they're small. You can see, man, the perch and bluegill I've caught over here for bait, they've really left a lot to be desired in the size department. So we're basically taking whole baits, cutting some slits in them, and just chopping the tail off just to get them kind of bleeding a little bit. I'm gonna do that on the perch and on the bluegill. And I've also got some chicken, which over here, South Carolina, man, especially on these Santee Cooper lakes, Lake Moultrie and Lake Marion, people like their chicken over here. And so I did catch a fish yesterday on the chicken. So we're going to try it again today. And so I'm going to get our speed going here we're going to do about a half a mile an hour here to get us going. We'll get these baits on. I think I'm going to drag a perch. That's what I got my two biggest fish on yesterday, and I got two monsters yesterday, both over 40 inches. They were dang nice fish, so I got them both dragging on perch. So that's what I definitely want to have, a perch dragging here. I think I'm going to drag, yesterday I suspended chicken. I think I want to do a dragging piece of chicken today here to start with. And then once we move out a little further here, we'll drop down that piece of bluegill and we'll suspend it. So let's get these on. Now let's get to it. Yesterday, I was fishing way on down the lake, and I ended up fishing considerably deeper than what we're starting here today. My fish were caught in like 22 to 24 feet of water yesterday, but we didn't get many. We got really good quality yesterday, but the quantity left a lot to be desired. So trying a different place today. And this area here, for tournament purposes, you know, again, I'm trying to eliminate some water, trying to find where I want to fish at on tournament day. I feel pretty good about the place we went yesterday as far as being able to get 3 big bites over the course of a tournament day. But it's a long haul from the launch to get there. This place here, I can start fishing pretty close to where I launched, so we're gonna try it out today. Now my rigs here, I just threw that other one out without telling you about it, but that's okay, because this one's the same rig. We got a 10-aught size circle hook 80-pound leader. Right above the hook, we've got a float and a rattle. Up here to a 3-way where we've got a dragging sinker on 40-pound mainline. And that leader there, it's about, I don't know, 3-4 foot long, I reckon. I'm just gonna give it a little toss back here, and then we're gonna start letting out line as we make our way along. I've already got our speed going here, roughly 0.4. Let's bump it up here, get about 0.5. And like I said, it's going to get progressively deeper as we make our way out. And what our goal is just to follow that old, what it says it is anyway, old creek bed out, and hopefully run into some fish that are working their way out of the deep water up here into this creek channel, up onto these flats, and feeding on bait fish. That's what we're striving to do today. And like I said yesterday, it was kind of a grind a little bit, but in the end, I had 2 really big fish and another cat that was, I think, 31, 32 inches, something like that. So if it had been tournament day and 3 fish was our tournament limit, I would have had like 114, 115 inches. So, and that's pretty good because I filmed like 4 hours or so, and then I went to try to locate some bait there yesterday afternoon. So I mean, that's pretty good. You figure on tournament day, I'm gonna have 8 hours potentially to get 3 big bites. I feel good about that area, but it is a long haul from where I launch at to get out there to where I fished at. And it's not so much going out in the morning because we can leave before tournament time starts as early as we want to get where we're going. The problem is getting back in the afternoon. Our tournament ends at 3. We have to be at check-in by 4. So I may have to leave, depending on the wind direction and which way I end up trolling out there, assuming I go there, I may have to leave around 1:30 to make sure I make it back to the ramp and get to check-in before 4 o'clock. So that's the gamble of going to that spot, is just the fact that I'm going to have to cut my tournament day short to make it back. And so a place like this where I can launch right here and potentially start fishing right here, it's going to allow me to basically fish the full 8 hours because I could make it back to the launch and make it check-in between 3 and 4 p.m. and spend from 7 to 3 our tournament hours with lines in the whole time. So again, this is tournament preparation, y'all. I'm bringing y'all with me, unedited, raw and uncut. I'm gonna stick y'all right here in the chest. We're gonna flip our, well, we let out 1,000,000 yards of line on that one while I was sitting here talking to you, and this one here has hardly let out anything at all because it's been, my line was hung on there. Well, I guess we'll have one that's really far out behind us and one that really ain't. We're 7 feet deep right now, so fishing shallow water like this, I'd like to put a little distance between the kayak and our baits because we're liable to go right over the top of these fish and kind of spook them a little bit, you know? So I want to have a little distance between us. It ain't so important when you're fishing deeper water, especially if it's a calm day like today, you can see it's flat calm out here. There's no wind. So if you're fishing deeper water, you don't necessarily need to run the baits a long ways behind you. But if the wind gets up, it gets a little choppy and your baits are bouncing up and down, you want to let out more line to kind of smooth that out so it's not as herky-jerky. And if you're fishing shallow water like we are, there's the fear of the motor's making noise, I'm moving around the kayak, I'm making noise. Sound travels very well in the water, so you spook fish, they scatter, and then here comes your baits and they're over here to the side somewhere. So this lake really sets up, the people I expect to do well in the tournament are the planer board guys, which my regular viewers, you know me well enough to know I am not a planer board guy. I'd rather just not catch fish than have to use them. So I will not be using planer boards tomorrow. I will be using my 2-rod setup dragging, and depending on my depth, I may throw out a suspended line or 2. I really think after after what we saw yesterday, I really think I'm going to catch my fish dragging. So depending on how my bait, here's what my plan today is. I want to get out here first thing this morning, just check out this area, see, can we catch fish here? If so, what size of fish are we catching here? If you're seeing this video, good news, we caught some fish here, folks. I ain't posting no skunk video. I don't care if it's tournament prep, tournament day, whatever. There ain't gonna be no skunk videos on this channel, so you're seeing this, we got on something. But how many fish? What size quality fish? Those are things I want to see in comparison to yesterday before making a final decision. I've hit, since I've been here in South Carolina now, I fished the area 5 years ago. I'd come over here for the first time, fished a tournament, I won. I went back to that area first, and it's so choked out with weeds, I could barely get to it, let alone fish it. I mean, it's unfishable. So next day, I fished a canal kind of on the other side of the lake over here, and I didn't do any good. I got completely skunked, didn't get a bite. I fished a canal, I fished the flats off of it, I tried suspending, I tried dragging, I tried anchoring, I did not get a bite. So yesterday I went and hit another area, and I had hoped to start fishing kind of in the shallower depths like we're starting here now and work my way out. But the place I went yesterday, man, from like 10, 12 feet deep and shallower, it was completely choked out with grass. I mean, just thick grass that would be from the bottom of the lake all the way up to damn near the surface. I mean, it was just completely choked out. And yeah, I mean, when you're in that situation, you can't do anything with that. You can't drag it, you really can't, you can't fish it. Not effective, at least I don't know how to do it, other than maybe putting baits under a balloon and trying to catch fish right under the surface, but I just didn't feel confident in doing this. I just kept going out and further and further and further until I ran into some water that didn't have all of those weeds. And so when we started fishing, I think it was around like 19, 20 feet deep when we started fishing. And so, well, let's get us a snag here, looks like. First thing. A lot of stumps over here. There we go. A lot of stumps, a lot of cypress stumps out here on Santee Cooper, and I wouldn't be shocked if we lose some tackle today. It's going to be an experience. Yesterday, this one's it's running through some rough stuff here. Yesterday we did get hung a few times. Actually, I think I got hung, I went back and got it. I immediately got hung again. I got pissed off, and I said, I'm just gonna break off. Then I ended up pulling it free. But I mean, it's not as bad out in the deeper water. But when you're pulling through the shallows here, you're gonna be facing some stumps. And you get into the wood, I don't care what kind of dragging rig you're running, you're probably gonna break off. You're gonna get hung and break off. No, none of these dragging sinkers, whether it's the commercially made ones or the ones that I personally make, none of them pull through wood particularly well. So you just gotta, if you fish a place like this, you've just got to accept the fact that you're gonna lose some gear. You're gonna lose some tackle. And speaking of that, let's get our bait rod out. We're 11 feet deep. I'm gonna wait a little longer here before we throw our suspended rod out, but what I will do is go ahead and get our bait rod down so we can try to catch us some perch. Surprisingly, yesterday I threw this bait rod out while we were catfishing, thinking that I would just load up on perch while we're out there catfishing. When I've been here, I fished here 2 different times, not this spot, I've never fished this spot, but I mean just Lake Moultrie here on Santee Cooper. I fished it twice before both times you couldn't keep perch off your line. You catch them 2 or 3 at a time. Just anywhere that you were out catfishing, there was perch. Man, yesterday, I couldn't hardly buy a perch. I got us like 3 yesterday evening. But out there on the water yesterday, when we were catfishing and I had the bait rod out, didn't catch a single one. Got 2 stripers. We did catch those. We got a channel cat on the bait rig. Got one of those, but didn't get a single perch. And so I really need some perch today. That's my #1 goal today above all else. I know where at least I can maybe have a chance at catching catfish tomorrow, regardless of how this spot works out. But what I don't have, right now anyway, is a good bait source. And I've got to get bait this afternoon for the tournament tomorrow. So we got to figure some stuff out today, folks. And if I could, best case scenario, load up on perch while we're out here, boy, that would save me a lot of time. I could go just rest this afternoon. Because I ain't gonna lie, I'm getting a little tired. I've put in some hours on the kayak here the last few days, even though it ain't really paid off for video purposes, just that one video there yesterday. But I've logged some hours. Even on my skunk day there, I logged some hours. So my body, specifically my butt, my back, getting a little tired of sitting in the kayak. And of course, tomorrow is going to be a long day, a full, well, 8 hours for the tournament. I'm probably going to get to the water, assuming I fish that other spot, I'm going to get on the water probably around 5:30 in the morning to make my run out to the spot to get started. Then, of course, we get done tomorrow afternoon after tournament's over. I'm gonna drive home. I'm gonna start my drive back tomorrow night, and I'm gonna have, it would normally be around 6.5 hours-ish, give or take, with the interstate shut down for part of the way there through North Carolina. They had that Hurricane Helene hit and it washed out part of the interstate. So I've got to take an alternate route, and that's going to add hour and a half to my commute. So it's probably going to be tomorrow. I'm basically going to be sitting for most of the day from about 5:30 in the morning till about midnight tomorrow night. My butt and my back have about had it with all this sitting this week. So if we could catch some bait today while we're out here catfishing and checking out this spot, it would be awesome, because then I could get out of the kayak a little sooner today and just give myself a little bit of a break. Older I get, folks, it's harder to sit for long periods of time. All you people out there watching my channel right now, your truck drivers. Thought I had a fish, my back line was hung. All you all out there that are truck drivers, all of y'all that are listening to this right now, you got an office job, you sitting there for 8+ hours a day. Godspeed. I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you can sit that long. I just can't. The older I get, the harder it is for me to sit for long periods of time. And part of it, I'm sure, is the seat in the kayak, because my hips are lower than my knees. It's a little more uncomfortable. I'm hoping that the next kayak I get will have a little bit higher seat. And I'm looking, I've talked to you all about this ad nauseum at this point, but I'm looking at that Bonafide XTR 130. I think that's most likely going to be my next kayak, and I'm going to see it finally in person tomorrow at the tournament. Our tournament director just got one, and another fellow who was fishing the tournament, he got one too. And so I'm going to be able to finally see it in person, and hopefully maybe one of them kind souls will let me sit in it, and I can kind of figure out, do I like it? Is this what I want? And then maybe next week at some point, go get a thing. I'd like to pick a day when it's going to be bad weather at home and go up there to Ohio. I'm going to buy it from Raccoon Creek Outfitters and go up there and get it. Oh, y'all hung again. Look at this. Oh, it pulled free. Okay. We're coming through some stuff here. We have dropped off 14 feet, so we're coming out a little deeper here. It says there's a submerged, I can't talk today, submerged culvert and a creek bed right there, so who knows if there is or there ain't, but that's what it says on the map anyway. Every time I push that screen, it puts that X. I don't know why. I don't know how to get that off there. Why does it do that? I don't know. It's annoying. But we're just going to follow this on out. We're just rolling today, man. We're just going with it. We're just going to cover some water. When I'm fishing places that I don't know, new bodies of water, new areas to me, this is kind of a good way to kind of learn your way around is trolling. Drag baits, suspend baits, depending on the depth. I usually don't like suspending in water shallower than about 20 feet. My regular viewers know my favorite way to fish. I like suspending baits. That's super fun. I love it. It's the best way to catch catfish in a kayak from a fun perspective. And if I'm fishing a river, if I'm fishing a reservoir, somewhere where I expect fish to be on deep structure, I can open up a map, pick out places to anchor myself down and suspend them baits where I feel like we're gonna have a real good chance of fish swimming through our baits. Now, I don't know when that's gonna happen, but I know if I put in enough time, it will eventually occur that fish swim through. And if they do, well, we're gonna catch fish and we're gonna have some fun, right? That kind of mentality, or I call it a skill set really, because I do feel like it is a skill to be able to read a contour map and kind of determine where fish are going to be moving and how they're going to follow those contours. It is kind of a skill in a sense. That don't really apply as much. We got a bait here. Look right here. Let's be a perch, please. Yes. All right. There's this one, folks. There's this one. You sit right down there, Mr. Perch. I'm going to drop this back down. This, by the way, I forgot to show you my bait rig. Hell, I sit there and put all them baits on it, didn't even show you. This is 3 gulp minnows, 1/64 ounce jig heads, number 8 hooks, 1-inch gulp minnows. I've got 3 of them tied on with sabiki knots, and at the very bottom, I just got that's an egg sinker that I tied a swivel on and then put it at the bottom of the line there. I don't have a bank sinker with me apparently, so at least not that I can find. So we're improvising. And I just drop that down to the bottom and raise it up just off the bottom. And we're just trolling along with it down there, and we come across these perch, and boy, these are prickly things. They're a small bait fish. Normally you can't keep them off your lines out here, but the last couple days I can't hardly buy one. Boy, they'll prick you good with them fins right there, but they make a good catfish bait. And we're gonna put this one here in the cooler. And hopefully put about 50 more of his friends in there at some point today. So yeah. But as I was saying, my skill set of being able to open up a contour map and kind of determine places on deep structure that fish are gonna pass through, you can kind of throw that out the window when you fish in a lake like this. Because, well, and I say that, the place we were at yesterday, those of you that watched that video, you know, we got out there kind of in the channel, and you had two flats, and it come down into this channel, this gully, if you will. And at the very bottom of it was kind of narrow, so I could go right down the middle of it, dragging baits and suspending baits, and be kind of working both contours there, if you will. That's kind of like what I do back home and when I'm fishing Tennessee River and deeper reservoirs and stuff. But out here, a place like this, fish, it's harder to determine a single spot that fish are going to work through because they're going to be up in the shallows here. They're going to be up on these flats. They're going to be roaming. They're going to be following schools of bait fish. It's hard to determine where fish are going to just pass through, and because they could be anywhere. And so this style of fishing, this body of water in particular, although I have done well here before, I won that tournament 5 years ago, I'd come back again 2 or 3 years ago, this vacation type trip, I caught some fish and done well yesterday as far as big fish goes. It doesn't really suit me. It doesn't really fit my skill set all that well. It really plays into more of these fellas that like to pull planer boards because, you know, they can, and I don't listen, I hate planer boards. I hate it. I just, it ain't fun. It's just, I'd just rather not catch fish. If that's what I have to do to catch fish, I'd just rather not catch them. But I will be the first to admit that in situations like this, in a lake environment, if you're fishing these massive flats, or fish could be roaming around and be literally anywhere on it, well, the planer board style is really effective because you're spreading your baits out really wide. The further you spread them out with multiple rods, some of these guys I'm going to be competing against tomorrow, they're going to be running 8 rods or more off their kayaks. They may have a 100-yard spread running baits the whole way through. So if all things are equal, and I'm covering my rods here, they're 7 foot long. We've got the kayak in the middle, so say 14 plus, I'm covering a 17-foot swath as we go down through here, and they're covering a 100-yard swath. Well, who has the advantage, right? And so when I'm in these situations, what I ideally like to do is try to find a place, and yesterday, prime example, getting down in that little channel there where I can hit those break lines, work those contours, that way I can kind of lean into my strength, lean into what I'm good at, instead of trying to take what I'm not good at, take my weakness, and compete against other people's strengths. I would rather compete strength on strength than the weakest part of my game versus the strongest part of some of theirs. So that's kind of where my mind is at, but at the same time too, it's like you have to play the game in your mind of how important is that extra time on the water that I'm going to lose. Now, thankfully, I'm not going to lose it during the morning hours because we can leave early, but having to stop fishing between 1 and 1:30, and that's typically, it's not the best time of day to be fishing, I don't think. In my experience, usually from noon to 3, noon to 4, when the sun's highest in the sky, I don't typically do as good. That's not set in stone. There's exceptions to that, obviously. I've caught some big fish between noon and 3 before it happens. But that's usually the slower part of my day. Usually my fish are going to come. If I'm fishing tournament hour, 7 to 3, most of my fish are going to come between 7 and 11. That's where I'm going to have the bulk of my fish, the bulk of my score. The exception that I can think of off the top of my head in my mind was the Hoover, Ohio tournament earlier this year. I won it in the final hour. Between 2 and 3 o'clock, I won that tournament, and I got 2 big bites. But that situation was kind of unique in the fact that I ended up changing my game. I'd been dragging and trolling And for the final hour and a half, however long it was, I anchored on a point that had the wind blowing up on it. The wind had been cranking out there all morning long, all day long. And so I felt like there was a chance that fish could possibly be, or the bait fish anyway, could possibly be kind of thick on that point. And sure enough, I got 2 big cat bites, and it won the tournament for me there. But that situation was kind of unique in that I felt like that spot had probably been getting better and better and better all morning long as far as getting the plankton and whatnot, the bait fish's food source, getting it moved up there, then the bait fish following it, and then the predator fish like catfish following those. So, you know, different, it's apples and oranges. If all things are same, if the weather, if it's like this tomorrow, and I think it's going to be a calm day tomorrow as far as the wind goes, and no rain or storms, anything like that in the forecast. And then I would expect the bite to tail off midday. So I don't know if psychologically it hurts to lose that hour and a half, 2 hours, however long it works out to be. It's just, we're gonna put this other suspended bait on now. We're about 15 feet deep here. We'll at least go ahead and get it in the water. You know, I don't know. It's psychologically, it'll just mess with me a little bit, but it kind of depends. How much time I lose is going to depend on which direction I end up trolling. And which direction I end up trolling is going to be determined by the wind, assuming that there is some. If there's even a light breeze, I want to go into the wind. And so if I end up, let's say the wind is blowing toward the area I launch at, that means I'll be working away from the launch all morning long. So when I finish, I'll have an even longer run to get back to the car. Now, if it's blowing from the direction of the launch, that's probably best case scenario, because then I'll make my long run first thing. And then I'll be trolling my way back toward the car all morning long. So when I end my day, I'll be closer to the launch. I mean, if I could just pick and choose, that would be what I would choose. But here's the thing, I can't pick which direction the wind's gonna blow. And if it was to pick up a little bit, and I need to be moving slow, well, then I need to be going into the wind, because if you got a tailwind, it's gonna push you. It's gonna spin the back of your kayak around first off, and then it's gonna propel you forward. Now, you can offset that with a drift sock, but I'll be honest with you, I don't like pulling a drift sock in the kayak. I've done it. I will do it in times of desperation. I don't want to do that. It's just one more thing behind you that fish can get tangled up in when you're reeling them in. It's just one more hassle. It's one more piece of gear on the kayak. I don't want to do that. I just don't. Like I said, I've used them before in the past. I will do it again in the future, I'm sure. I don't want to do that. I'd rather just go into the wind. So, you know, for better or worse, that's my thoughts on it. Everybody's got an opinion on it. We're going to lower our depth down here. We're starting to drop off, so keep an eye on that screen. I've seen some stuff as we've been moving along here, just bait fish and whatnot, a couple other marks. Who knows what they were? Could have been carp or buffalo or catfish or anything. Who knows? But that's kind of my thought process. I mean, I kind of discussed it yesterday, how I go about breaking down new water. And if this is your first video, or if you missed the last one, I'll give you the Cliff's Notes version of how I break it down. So when I'm coming somewhere new, and even this place here, Lake Moultrie, Santee Cooper, I fished here twice before, 5 years ago, and then 2 or 3 years ago, I'd come back vacation. This place is so big, though. I mean, I could spend a lifetime out here and not fish all of it. It's just, these are massive bodies of water. I mean, just look around over here. You look that direction, you can barely see land way over there in the distance. I mean, that's miles away. And it's like this all the way down. And the lake above this, same thing. And these are two massive bodies of water. You can't possibly fish them all. But what I do if I'm coming here, if I'm coming any other place that I've never been before, I get on Google Earth, I pull up, where can I launch my kayak at? Boat ramps, public parks, any side of the road type places. Looks like I could slide a kayak in. I'm looking at those, I'm marking them. Then I go and I get avionics out, contour maps. I start overlaying that with those boat ramps, parks, etc., and say, okay, what looks good? Where are fishable areas within a reasonable distance of these launch sites? Because a big body of water like this, it does you no good to do a contour map first. You can pick out 1 million spots out here, and 500,000 of them is going to be inaccessible because you just can't reach them by kayak. It's different if you're in a boat. If I was fishing out of a boat, I wouldn't even bother looking at launch sites. I would go straight to the contour map first and pick out the best places I thought would give me the chance of success, and then I would go find boat ramps. Because you can cover so much distance in a boat. In a kayak, you're very limited as far as distance you can go. So I don't worry about places out that's in no man's land because I can't fish them no way. So I find my launch sites first, and then I start looking at potential places to catch fish around those launch sites, and then I kind of narrow down where I'm going to go. That's how I kind of break it down. Now for our tournament, both of these lakes are open water. The Marion and Moultrie both, the canal that separates them in the middle, that's all fair game. Any public launch site we can use. It don't matter if it's a public boat ramp that's free, if it's one of these campground boat ramps where you have to pay a fee, so long as everybody can pay that fee and launch there, we can use it. Now, if it's private property, if you got a best friend's second cousin twice removed, and they've got a boat slip in their backyard or something, you can't go use that unless you post that publicly and everybody has a chance to go use it. You know, it has to be public water, public launch site. But otherwise, from the top of Lake Marion to the dam at Lake Moultrie, it is fair game in the tournament tomorrow. And so, me coming over here a little bit early, pre-fishing, I obviously can't go everywhere. I can't investigate everything. So I picked the spot I won the tournament at a few years ago. That didn't work out. I picked another spot that I thought looked really good and gave me multiple options. That canal over yonder is a nice boat ramp, and it puts you right in that canal, 20 some odd feet deep. But right off of that canal, you had these two shallow flats with a bunch of cypress stumps. And so I thought, well, great. I can fish the deeper channel, which is more my comfort zone, try that out. If that don't work, I can get up on the shallow flats. Like, I had multiple options right there within a short distance of the launch. Now, I tried them both out and failed miserably. Somebody else may go there on tournament day and dominate. I did not. But mark that off the list. The spot we went yesterday, it looks good on a map, but again, you got to run 1.5 miles, 2 miles to get out there to that, and you got to go through all these grass mats, which is eating up the trolling motor. You got to stop every 50 yards and clear grass out your prop to be able to move along, so it's time consuming to get out there. And so this place that we're at right now today, although we ain't caught nothing at it yet, again, it's another one of those places on the map that just kind of looks appealing because I see that old creek channel, whether it's an actual creek channel or not, I don't know, it's what it says in the map. And it's close to the launch. I'm like, well, hell, I can work that on out and just follow that on out through here. And so, for better or worse, these are the 4 places I have picked for my pre-fishing sessions. And so far, previous days were 1 for 3. So, but the fish we got yesterday, man, I mean, I feel good. Yesterday, had yesterday been tournament day, I feel pretty damn good about my chances of cashing. I feel real good about it. So, at the end of it don't matter how bad your pre-fishing goes. You just need one spot to pay off. Just one. You get on tournament day, it don't matter how many fish you catch. You just need those 3 good bites. So, it's easy to get discouraged when things ain't going your way. But I try to stay positive best I can, and I try to look at the positive side of things, of the fact that, you know, we know there's some good fish out there, and I got 8 hours to get those 3 bites. Well, 6 to 6.5 hours to get those 3 bites if I fish that place. Which even still, I mean, let's say we get 6 hours out there. That's 1 bite every 2 hours. And, you know, yesterday, both of the big fish came within the first hour and a half. What happened here? I don't know if that was a fish or if I just pulled through something. Let's just pull through something. Playing with my emotions. I wanted it to be a fish. But I mean, I had 2 fish within an hour and a half. Both of them were dragging, both of them on perch. Now, tomorrow, assuming we don't learn anything today that's going to change my mind on that, well then tomorrow, guess what I'm going to have? I'm going to have all my rods baited with perch tomorrow. If that's outperformed every other bait I've tried, I'll have all of them doing that. And so I'm going to have hopefully more opportunities to catch fish if they're keyed in on the perch bite. Now over here, bluegill in the past has done well. I'm not a fan of using chicken for bait, but it is popular over here. A lot of people like it. And I told the story yesterday of my friend Kevin, Palmetto Cat's YouTube channel. 2 or 3 years ago when I was over here vacationing, him and I fished together, did a live stream. That video's on my channel. He got the biggest fish of the night, about 50 pounds on a piece of chicken. So places like this where the fish are eating a lot of mussels, freshwater mussels, chicken tends to work better for bait in those places, it seems like. And so while it's not a bait that I'm super confident in, it's not a bait I really want to use, I'm willing to try it. I'll put it out there on a rod and just see what happens with it. I'll give it a chance. And you know what? Yesterday we did catch a fish on chicken. It wasn't certainly in the class that the 2 monsters we got, but I mean, it was 31, 32 inches long. It wasn't a bad fish. It was a fun sizer. And we got it suspending a piece of chicken. So I wanted to try dragging some chicken this morning. But I think based on what I seen yesterday, I'll live by the adage of once is an accident, twice is a pattern. When we got both them big fish yesterday, dragging the perch. I mean, my dragging baits, there's 17 feet distance between them, folks. And for my dragging baits to get to a fish, that means my suspended baits have went right over the top of them. So we run that chicken on the suspended rod yesterday. We run it by both them fish. And when we come by them fish with our dragging baits, they had the option of, this one here's got the option of biting. We got a fish. Fish number 1. Let's see what we got here. Hey, he ain't gonna be no monster, I'll tell you that. But he's a skunk buster. I'm pretty sure this one was on the chicken. Speaking of chicken, how about that? Yeah, he's not gonna be. He ain't like them ones yesterday that was strip and drag as soon as they nailed the rod. It is nice to get bit though. Oh, that ain't what we want. If we catch these tomorrow, we in big trouble, folks. This old channel cat right here. Oh, channel kitty. Yeah, we don't want to see these tomorrow. We'll catch our channel cats today. Get them out the way. Well, he's ate that thing kind of deep too. I see the hook there. Let's see if we can get it out. Tell you what, channel cat. You can keep the chicken, I'll take the hook. How about that? I don't think I'm gonna get either one of them back, to be honest with you. Dadgum channel cat. I ain't gonna be able to get it, folks. It's too deep down in there. You done cost me a hook and a leader now, channel cat. I hate these things. As he about takes my thumb out on the way. If I told y'all how bad I hate channel cats, because I do, I hate them things. They're the devil, man. All right, well, let's retie here. We'll put on some more chicken. Dadgummit. Costing us time right there. Fortunately, I keep a bunch of leaders pre-tied. I always have me some leaders tied up in the winter months when we're sitting at home on days where the weather's nasty and cold and raining and stuff. I just sit there at my kitchen table and tie me up leaders, and I'll put them in these sandwich baggies. I'll put a few of them in there and keep them in the kayak. And I run out of one bag throughout the year, I'll just get in my closet and pull out another bag that I'd tied up. Let's put this on. See if we can find another catfish that ain't a channel cat this time. Let's tie that on there with a clinch knot, a trilene knot, whatever you want to call it. It works. It's a knot that works for me. Put this dragon sinker. I'm using these dragon sinkers. These ain't the ones that I make. These were given to me. They're a little bit lighter, well, they're a lot lighter weight. The ones I make are significantly heavier than this. But I knew I was going to be losing a bunch of tackle this week, and so I thought, well, we'll try these lighter ones, because maybe the lighter ones would pull through the stumps a little better. And if they don't, well, then I'm losing these instead of the ones that I like using. Cut another chunk of that chicken. Well, we're back in the game just like that, folks. Run that hook through like that. Back out it goes. First fish. Was a fish we wish we had. No, I guess technically the perch was the first fish. I sure was hoping we'd just be shellacking them things out here. Can't believe we're not. Both trips before. Is this a fish here? Oh, must have been pulling through a snag. But both trips, 2019 and 2021 or 22, whenever it was I come here. Man, I call perch everywhere. Everywhere. They're nowhere to be found out here the last couple days. I was trying to say though, before that fish so rudely interrupted us, yesterday when we were pulling along, I had clearly gone right over the top of them fish with the chicken that was on the suspended rod yesterday. And here comes my dragging baits, and those fish had options. I mean, with my baits being basically 17 feet apart back there, and with the fact that we're pulling and the way the lines come in, it's probably less than that, probably more 14, 15 feet apart back there. They got options. And yesterday we was dragging the perch and was dragging the bluegill. When the second fish ate the perch, again, that adage, once is an accident, twice a pattern. Like when both of them chose the perch over the chicken that had gone right over the top of them a few seconds before, and then the bluegill that was right next to it, that tells me, like, okay, that's what I need to be focusing my time on. And then when we did get the fish on the chicken, it was a significantly smaller fish than because the first one there was a little over 40 inches and the next one was almost 44 inches. So, I mean, those were big fish. And they showed a preference to the perch. So tomorrow we'll have, unless we see something really different today. Now, if we tear them up on the bluegill or the chicken, I'll certainly be working them in on tournament day. But tomorrow, we'll be dialed in, hopefully, on the bait that we need. If nothing else, I'll have the confidence in it to say, hey, this is what we need to be using. The most important thing, in my opinion, and again, this is opinion, so opinions and buttholes, everybody's got them. Actually, some people don't have buttholes. That's not true. Some people don't. But nevertheless, or some people have buttholes that various medical reasons they've had to be sewn shut. But anyway, we're all, you know what I'm trying to say here. Everybody's got an opinion. So take this with a grain of salt. But in my opinion, the most important thing is getting snagged here, apparently. No, it come free, good. The most important thing, well, shoot far. Now we've popped this line and got a little backlash. Y'all are struggling here. Y'all can't even get lines. You can't even get your baits out. It ain't me messing this up, it's you. I know it is. But anyway, if I ever get this damn story out, the most important thing to me is confidence. Now, I think confidence takes over everything, because you can be doing the right thing. You can be exactly where you need to be, doing the exact technique you need to be doing. But if you don't have the confidence to stick with it, you won't. And you'll change, or you'll move, or you'll do something different. And if you just rode it out, you would have caught fish. You can't sit there and second guess yourself all damn day. You got to have confidence and belief in what you're doing, that it's going to work and that it's going to pay off. You're going to get the results that you want. And the people who do have the confidence, it usually pays off, because you're going to keep grinding. You're going to keep doing what you need to do. The worst days I have, fishing wise, is usually when I'm trying something new, because I try it and I don't know if I'm doing it right, or I don't know if it's going to work. And so I half-ass do it, and I do it for a short amount of time, and then I put it up and I try to do something different, and I end up spending all this time hung, apparently, is what we're going to spend time doing right now. But I'll spend all this time without baits in the water, because I'm constantly reeling up, or I'm moving, or I'm trying something different, or, you know, I don't care what you're doing. If you ain't got baits in the water, you ain't going to have success. You're not going to catch fish. You can't run all over creation. You know, and it's like that too. You see it most common with bass fishing. You've seen this, bass fishermen come up on while I'm out here filming or something, and they come up fish a spot, make 10 casts, 80 miles an hour to the next spot where they'll make 10 casts. They spend their whole day running around. The bass fishermen that I personally know who are the most successful, you know how much running around they do? Minimal. Those guys are casting from the time they hit the water till the time they leave. Now, they may cover a bunch of water throughout the day because they're moving the whole time, but they're constantly casting. They're not spending their day, especially their tournament day, without lines in the water. And so I'm kind of the same mindset when it comes to catfishing. Like, you got to have lines in the water. That is the most important thing. You need to be fishing water where there's fish. You can't catch fish that ain't there, but you got to have lines in. You can be sitting on top of a pile of fish. If you don't have baits in the water, you ain't gonna catch any of them. So, especially when you're fishing against the clock in a tournament situation, I want lines in the whole time, if possible. So if you notice, most of my tournament, what do I do on tournament day? You don't see me usually hitting a bunch of anchor spots, right? I'm either going to be drifting if I got current. There's a fish. Oh, that's a better one. That's a better one. That one's taking line. He was. On perch. Oh no, he just come off. Oh my gosh, he just come off. That one took some line right there when he nailed it. Definitely a better fish. I hope he didn't take our bait. One of the things about the smaller perch that we have is they are easily ripped. No, tore the mouth a little bit. We'll rehook it. Man, we got the bait back. That's encouraging, at least, though, to have a little feedback from a fish. Even though we didn't land it, it's, yeah. I'm gonna throw that perch back out there since we got so few of them. Anyway, what I was saying, if you notice, you watch my tournament videos, what am I doing? If I got current, sometimes I'll drift, but just take the tournaments I've won. I've won 3 tournaments this year. I won Alabama, Pickwick Wilson event. I won it dragging 2 rods, dragging a ledge. I had lines in the water damn near the whole day. I did anchor on a spot for the first hour. Very stupid mistake. But once I started doing what I needed to do, I didn't have lines out of the water the rest of the day. I won the Hoover tournament. I was trolling for part of the day. Then I ultimately hit an anchor spot. But I had lines in the water damn near the whole day. And then Louisiana tournament we just had a couple weeks ago, I won. I was anchor fishing, lines in the water the whole day. I don't do a whole lot of running around without lines in on a tournament, no matter what I'm doing. Whether if I'm anchoring, I'm gonna be anchored on that spot for the duration. If I am trolling, I'm gonna hit a ledge, I'm gonna keep going, man. I'm just gonna keep rolling with it. Hell, last year, that tournament I won in North Carolina, Kerr Lake, I didn't have lines out of water the whole day. I was dragging, but I was up and down, up and down. I took a place kind of like this. It was a kind of a back of a creek, just a mud flat, and I was just up and down that thing, up and down all day, never had lines out. So you can waste a lot of time going spot to spot, is what I'm getting at. Like if I'm going to anchor fish in a tournament, and I'm not going to be anchor fishing out here tomorrow, that's for damn sure. But let's say I was, I'm gonna take the best spot, the spot I feel like gives me the best opportunity, and I'm setting on it all day. I'm not going to fish this spot for 30 minutes reel my lines up, make a 30-minute run without lines in, fish another spot for 30 minutes, reel up, run to the next spot. You waste half your day just running. You've got to be, now in a boat you can get by with that because it don't take you as long to get spot to spot. But in a kayak where you've got 4 miles an hour, 4.5 miles an hour max speed, you just can't make a half a mile run in a timely manner. It takes up too much of your day. So for me, it's better to pick a spot, if I'm on anchor, say, okay, I think fish are going to move through this area. I don't know when, but I got 8 hours in a tournament. So let me throw out baits on this spot for all 8 hours. And if I get 3 good fish that work through this place in this 8-hour time span, well, I'm in contention to win. Or if I am, like tomorrow, I'm gonna be trolling tomorrow out here. No matter where I end up doing it at, I know what I'm doing. I'm trolling tomorrow. I'm gonna have lines in the whole time. I'm gonna pick an area and I'm gonna just go. And if I get bit, well, then I'm gonna circle around and come back. And then I'm gonna go through it again. And I'll keep doing that, but I'm gonna have lines in the whole time, the whole shebang time, to try to be as efficient as possible. So that's a long-winded spiel about it, but I think it's important. I think you gotta have confidence in what you're doing. Whatever it is, the technique, the location, you gotta stick with, you gotta have the confidence, the belief in yourself that what you're doing is working. You gotta have the confidence to stick with it. And then you actually gotta stick with it. You gotta keep your lines in and you gotta keep doing it. And you do that long enough. I used to say it on every video and I got away from it. I'm like, if you keep your baits on good structure, you're gonna catch fish. It's not if, it's when. And that's true. I don't care if you're in a lake, a river, a reservoir, whatever. That's true. That don't change. You will find, over the course of time though, you'll find things that you like doing better than others. You'll find techniques that you're better at, that you have more confidence in. You know, me personally, just firsthand experience here, I've grown up fishing on the Tennessee River, which is a series of deep reservoirs. So naturally, I'm more comfortable and confident on deep reservoirs. When you put me in an environment like this, that's just not what I'm accustomed to, well, sure, of course I'm gonna be less confident because I'm out of my comfort zone. Doesn't necessarily mean that what I do won't travel well. It just means I have to have, in my mind, I have to have the mindset that like, it's okay to suck. You know, it's okay to go a long period of time without bite. Yesterday wasn't a productive session as far as numbers goes. But had it been tournament day, I feel like we had a real chance of walking away either a winner or walking away at least cashing a check with how things were going. So it's just a matter of mindset. It's a matter of perspective. And I'll say this too. I mean, certainly when I'm fishing at home, my expectations are different than when I go somewhere new. If I'm fishing at home, I feel like I should be able to get it done 7 days a week. I mean, that's my home water. I know it. I fish there. I know seasonal patterns and movements. Like I should be able to, and don't get me wrong, I have skunk days at home. I do, it happens. But I feel like I shouldn't. I feel like I should be able to get it done 7 days a week, regardless of weather, water conditions, whatever. I should be able to put together the puzzle every single day. It don't work out like that, but I feel like I should. When I go somewhere new though, and I don't have that experience to fall back on as far as baits and techniques and seasonal patterns and movements and stuff. I don't have that. I just go out and go fishing. I don't have the expectations. I want to do well. I have the want, but I don't have for instance, if I'm fishing at home, let me give us a little love tap. But if I'm fishing at home and I stink it up, a skunk or something, or catch 1 or 2 small fish on the day, when I go home, I'm a little bit irritated about it. I'm a little irritable because I didn't have the results that I expected. But when I go on the road, you know, 2 days ago out here, I got skunked, right? Like, I'm disappointed that happened, but I'm not beating myself up over it. I'm just like, okay, well, mark this spot off the list of places to check. You know, I'm not gonna be irritable about it necessarily. I'm not gonna be upset with myself, just other than the disappointment is now we went from love tap to hung now. Come out of this thing for me. There he comes. Oftentimes you get hung like that. I say it in every one of these videos where I drag, that's important. When you see your rod first start loading up where you get snagged, if you'll give it slack and lift straight up, you'll usually pull it out. If you let that thing just get loaded up real tight, that's when you're gonna have a hard time getting it free. Where are we at on this now? Where time-wise, where are we at? We're just at an hour now. Basically, so we're just at an hour. We got the channel cat, which don't really count. We got that other bite, which felt like a good fish that popped free. So we'll call it 1 bite in the hour. So I don't count them channel cats, that thing. If we're getting channel cats tomorrow on tournament day, stick a fork in me, I'm done, buddy. A person ain't winning this tournament tomorrow having caught channel cats on their score. I just ain't. Now, I'm sure they got some big channel cats in here probably, but that ain't gonna get it done. It's gonna take 3 big blues or somebody with a big flathead on their score. That's what it's gonna take to win tomorrow. I'm gonna lower this bluegill down. Drop it down just a little bit more. We're dropped off to 17 feet here, so we're just slowly but surely making our way out. Drop our bait rod down there too. We're moving along, just them gulp minnows down there like a little school of bait fish, hoping to run into some perch. Of all the things that's happened over here, the most surprising is the fact I can't catch a perch if my life depended on it. I mean, I thought, after having been over here before, perch would be, because when you put a bait in front of them, they eat it. Like in my experience, when I've fished places that have them, they are one of the easiest places, or one of the easiest fish to catch, because they're just so aggressive. But I guess I just haven't been on them, best I can figure, or else they'd eat it. Now, we did catch yesterday. I almost made a mistake yesterday, folks. I caught a baby striper. Now, I was getting ready to throw him in the cooler. Now, I took a look at him and I'm like, wait a minute. That ain't a perch. Like, it's got lines. And I pulled out another perch from my cooler to compare. I'm like, no, that's a striper. I almost kept a damn striper. Now, I'll tell you this. That striper being the size it was, we'd have caught a catfish with it. Guaranteed. Now, I can't keep those here. They're illegal. I'm sure. I don't know. But I would imagine there's probably size restrictions on what you can and can't keep as far as stripers go. And I'm sure that thing was undersized. I mean, they were just babies. I caught 2 of them, they were just babies. But they would have been ideal baits. In a world where that kind of thing was legal, I would have kept them. Or if I had known for sure it was legal. I didn't want to just look up the regulations and leave the fish out of the water, because then it was going to die. Them stripers aren't very hardy anyway. You got to get them back in the water quick. There we go. There we go. There we go. On that perch again. That perch is where it's at, man. This is a better fish too. This is the second good bite on this perch. Hopefully this one stays buttoned up. This one's 17 feet deep. We need some more perch, folks. That's what we need. Oh no. Oh no. I just lost another one. What the hell happened this time? He got my bait too. Jeez, man. Look at this. He slimed all the way up the daggone line, buddy. That was a good fish. He felt good. We're snake bitten today. You know what? I don't think that fish, I mean, the bait's gone. I think that fish had my float. It ain't crushed, but it's missing some paint right there. I wonder if he didn't have my float, because here's the slime is up here. And then he just all of a sudden let go. I wonder, I don't know. I mean, the bait is gone. I don't know. Either way, y'all lost another fish. I ain't never lost a fish in my life, but every time I bring y'all fishing with me, y'all manage to lose some. I don't know how you lose so many fish. It's completely unrelatable to me, since I've never lost one before. Let's take another one of these perch, though. I'd like to put perch on every rod right now, but we just ain't got enough of them. I need to try to be a little bit conservative with them, because if I take what we got and I put them on every rod and then we catch, we're not going to cover much water, I guess what I'm getting at. But I am going to spend, I'm just fishing a few hours this morning, trying to work my way out through here, the various depths, see what's here. Today ain't as important, again, as far as numbers go. I want to get an idea of the size quality we can get, which would be helpful if we could actually land one of these big bites. But then in the afternoon, like, I have got to get some perch. I'm just gonna beat the banks, man. I'm gonna just throw and throw and throw and throw right up till dark if I have to. I wish you could buy perch here. I'd go spend 20 bucks, 30 bucks to go buy some if they was available. Bait stores ain't got them though. They don't, I don't know if they're not legal or if they just don't have a demand for them over here. I don't know. Of course, I say that. Hell, I ain't even been to no bait store since I've been here. I tried them years ago when I was over here, and they had some frozen mullet, and they had a blueback herring that looked like minnows that were ridiculously priced. But that was it. They didn't have any. They didn't have any perch. Ideally, I mean, if you're going to buy perch, you'd like to buy them live. Well, you could cut them and they'd be super fresh. Can't believe that, man. That's two fish on the perch that felt like pretty good bites and just couldn't keep them buttoned. we just suck at fishing today, folks. That's all I got to say about it. We just suck at fishing. But, okay, so that's 2 big bites now in a little over an hour. Just don't know the size of them. I'm gonna steer us a little bit to the left here. It looks like let me turn on the map card again, push it up here. Yeah, I'm gonna work us out here to the left. You see, it's just, you're up here, kind of on this flat. Now it's just a very gradual decline down through here. It's just flooded timber. And it goes into this old creek channel. So I'm going to get us to the left. I'm going to try to get us back up here into this, and we're going to work our way out. And I'm going to try to work this edge as we get over here. Try to work this down. Looks like there's a point right here. Definitely I want to bring baits by it for sure. Yeah, that's what we're going to work toward here. You need to start landing some fish though, people. I got to get y'all to do better. Every time I bring y'all fishing with me, you either tangle up lines, you cast into trees, you lose fish. You never show up with bait. Y'all rely on me to bring all the gear and all the bait. I don't know why you do me like this. Y'all take pity on me. Speaking of taking pity, let me tell you this story. I can't believe I ain't talked to y'all about this. So, before I left home, come over here, I went to a Jelly Roll concert. He had come to Knoxville. And that last video I filmed at home, I'd filmed it the morning before the concert. I didn't talk to y'all about this yesterday. Yeah, so I got to tell y'all this story. So anyway, me and my girlfriend, she had bought Jelly Roll tickets, because I'm a Jelly Roll fan. She got me tickets for my birthday back months ago. And anyway, he come to Knoxville. And he was at Thompson Bowling Arena, it's the college basketball arena there on Tennessee campus. And they have concerts and whatnot. It's a big arena, is what I'm getting at. The Jelly Roll had said during the concert it had like 17,000 people there. I guess that was the number of tickets sold or whatever. So I mean, it's a big show. It's a big arena, whatnot. That's what I'm getting at. And we make our way to the seats. And first off, man, the people watching at this show is on point, man. The people watching is it's a different crowd at a Jelly Roll concert, man. Because Jelly Roll, most of y'all probably know this, even if you're not a Jelly Roll fan of his music, you've at least seen pictures of him, you've seen him on TV or something. You know, he's a very large individual. He's morbidly obese. He's lost a lot of weight. I heard him on Joe Rogan there, he had dropped 100 pounds, so I'm happy for him, that's great. He's making progress, but he's still morbidly obese, okay? And I guess he is probably an inspiration to a lot of people who are in the same condition as him as far as being overweight and morbidly obese and things like that. I would assume he's probably an inspiration, not only from the fact that he's now lost 100 pounds, but also the fact that he has been that large and has yet still been able to be productive and successful and all that. Probably gives a lot, because I mean, let's be real, a lot of these people that are that obese, they're not always the most successful people in life, right? They oftentimes have health problems, and it limits their ability to work certain jobs or be successful at their jobs, and they're not always have the best social interactions and whatnot because they're white. So you know, to see somebody like him making it and making it big in the world, it has to be, I totally get it. Like, it has to be inspiration to anybody who's struggling with their weight to see somebody like him. So anyway, we go to this show. And the first thing I notice is, I mean, it's large people everywhere, okay? Like, I mean, and of course, I live in East Tennessee. We've got a bunch of people with weight problems, to say it nicely, in my area, but I mean, they all out for this Normally, you go to a concert, and there's gonna be some nice dressed people and some really hot chicks, and not this show. Not this one, man. It's fat people everywhere. So we make our way to their seat. And the people, it's just me and my girlfriend, so we got 2 tickets. The people that's going to be on each side of us, I look up there, they're already in their seats, and I'm like, oh my gosh, no. And my girlfriend, she starts laughing immediately because a few months ago, hold on, this bird, look at this bird. Oh, I thought he was going to dive down there into the water. A few months ago, we went to the Wynonna Judd concert. She came to the Tennessee Theater in Knoxville, which is a much smaller venue than the arena there for the Jelly Roll concert. But I got stuck sitting next to this fat woman. And she was so fat, when she sat down in her chair, like she expanded into mine. Like you had the armrest, and then you had her side fat coming over the armrest, and her butt and her hips coming over this way. Like, I mean, she was all up on me, not even trying to be on me, but she was on me because she couldn't fit in her seat, right? And we get up here to the Jelly Roll concert, and I'll be damned if it ain't happening again, this time with a dude. And my girlfriend, she's laughing because she knows I'm going to be miserable the whole damn concert, and there's something about my misery that she just finds amusing. I don't know why she's like that. It's very sadistic. But she enjoys me being in these situations. She gets a kick out of it. So we make our way past these 2, and the other woman on the side of her was large, but not like bleeding over into her seat, right? But the dude, so my girlfriend sits here, I'm here, and then there's this dude beside me. And he's standing up, he's kind of standing, squatting almost. And I'm trying not to look at him when I first sit down, like because I'm not trying to make conversation with nobody. You know me, I'm very antisocial, so when I go somewhere, I'm trying to just get in and get out without speaking to anyone. In this situation, it's get in, enjoy the show, and get out, no other human contact. That's what I'm hoping for. But after I'm sitting there a few minutes, I'm like, why is this guy still like this? And so I look over, at the risk of making eye contact and having awkward conversation, I look over his way to try to investigate this situation. And I realize why he is perched how he is perched. It's because he's too fat to fit in the chair. Those armrests on the chairs at Thompson Bowling Arena, they don't raise up. So they're just in a fixed position. And he can't he's too fat, he can't wedge himself down in between the armrests. He can't do it, he can't fit. So he's kind of like in almost a squatting, standing squat type position where his thighs, like the back of his legs here, are kind of setting on the armrests in a sense because he can't get down in the seat. And I'm like, I tell my girlfriend, I whisper over to her, he's not gonna be able to do this the whole show, is he? Like, that's gotta be uncomfortable. I mean, I would assume somebody that large, now, I ain't trying to be rude here or anything, but I've never been that big, I can't imagine what it's like, but I have to assume it's probably uncomfortable all the time. But now he's in a situation where he's had to perch himself on the damn armrest because he's too big for the chair. And, you know, I'm part of me kind of feels bad for the guy, but then part of me's pissed because this is happening again. Like, I just went through this at the Wynonna concert. I had this fat woman all over me because she couldn't fit in the chair. We went to the vacation in Las Vegas. I got stuck next to a fat woman in an airplane seat beside me. And it's like, every time I go out in public, you paying for I mean, I didn't pay for this seat. My girlfriend bought it for me for birthday. But still, you pay for a seat. You can't even get all of the seat. I mean, there's no chance of me using that armrest at any point in the show because his thigh's on it. Part of his thigh. The other part of it's on me. And it gets worse, folks. It gets worse. Because again, I'm trying not to look that way very much. I don't want to accidentally make eye contact and have conversation. And it ain't nothing against him being fat. I just don't want to have conversation with anybody. But a little while later, I look over again. I'm further investigating this situation, and I see it. And when I say I see it, what I'm referring to is his elbow, which is damn near, the way he's sitting, his elbow is about head height with me. And this damn elbow is just covered in psoriasis. I mean, he's flaking off. It looks like a damn winter snowstorm in there with how much skin he's losing off that elbow. And I'm like, oh my God, it's right here by my head. It's gonna be falling all down my arm, all over my leg. I'm gonna have it all over me, his dander. And I don't like dandruff, okay? I got a problem with it. I don't like it. I know it's a common thing, it happens, but it goes back to when I was working as a nurse, ER and stuff. You get a patient comes in, especially if it's somebody that's immobile or overweight, like you're gonna have to help them get undressed, get into the hospital gown, get in bed and stuff, right? Nothing is worse. Well, I won't say nothing is worse because there's always something worse, but this is awful when this happens. You take somebody's, you got some patient there and you got them on the side of the bed or whatever, and you take their shirt off, or maybe you got them in bed and you help pull their pants off and you see it. It's like the friction of the clothes coming off their body just causes all of these skin flakes to just it's like a damn snow globe. It's like you shake up a snow globe and it's just everywhere. And you know, like you're holding your breath because you don't want to breathe it in, and it's all around your face. And it's like, you know, you're about to have skin dander like up in your nostril, in your mouth, in your lung. You're about to taste it. You just know it's so disgusting. It's awful. And so I think that's where my disdain for skin dander comes from. And I get he can't help it. Dude can't help it. He's got psoriasis on his elbow. He could totally help that he's that fat. I mean, he's clearly capable. He walked his fat ass into that arena, which is a long walk from the parking garage to the arena. And he walked up several steps to get to that seat because we were up in the nosebleeds. My girlfriend sprung for tickets. She didn't spring for great seats, okay? We're up in the nosebleeds. He had to walk up a bunch of steps. So he's physically capable of doing some exercise. There's no reason he should be 450 plus pounds, okay? There's not. So I ain't cutting him no slack on that. But the fact that he is so fat, probably leading to is probably the reason why he's got the damn elbows looking like they do. But he can't help that, so it just is what it is. But I'm like, every time I go out, this is what happens. It's 3 big events in a row now. Winona concert, airplane to Las Vegas, and now the Jelly Roll concert. I get stuck sitting beside somebody that's too damn big for their seat. And I went on a rant about this when I got back from Las Vegas, but I'm gonna go on it again here now. And I ain't trying to discriminate, okay? I'm not. But there should be weight limits. Oh goodness, looky here. Hold on. This fish is about to save me from pissing some people off because oh good, it's another perch, yes. So happy for a perch right now. Let's get this weeds off our line before we drop it back down. All right, that's another one we'll throw in the cooler. I'd like to go ahead and stick him on a hook right now. I'd like to, but at the same time, I may need him. I may need him for tournament day, so we're going to be conservative with the perch. We're just going to use one rod with him right now. Come here, Perchy. You've saved me. You've got me a couple extra minutes here before I piss off all the fat people watching my video. But anyway, I went on a rant about this months ago after I got back from Las Vegas after having sit beside this fat woman on the plane for 4 hours. But something's got to be done about this, folks. If you are such a large person that you can't fit in the seat, and I know, listen, I know plane seats get smaller every year. They're trying to pack as many people on these planes as possible, so plane seats are getting cramped. But these seats at the basketball arena for the Jelly Roll concert, those are normal seats. Like that's an average size, even an above average size individual can fit in those seats no problem. So if you are so big that you are going to exceed that seat, and this guy, he exceeded that seat, okay? You should have to buy 2 tickets. I don't think that's a controversial take on my part. You should have to buy 2 tickets, 2 seats. Nobody should be forced to sit, because it ain't fair to somebody like me. I'm tall, but I'm not very wide. You know, I'm a normal body weight. I can't even enjoy my whole seat because dude's coming over onto me. If you're taking up part of my seat, you should have to pay for that seat. And I don't know what the answer is. I don't know if you should have to ask a question when you're going to buy the tickets. Are you over X number of pounds? If so, you got to buy a second seat. If there should be a fat people section in the arena where there's just larger seats for them, that would probably, I mean, they have handicap sections, right, where people can roll their wheelchairs down to the aisle. Like, that's common. Why not have a section for people who are larger? Because, I mean, listen, if I'm that guy, let me take it from the opposite perspective. Let me play devil's advocate here. If I'm him, and he's paid damn good money to come to that Jelly Roll concert, I mean, them tickets wasn't cheap, folks, even the nosebleeds. They're expensive tickets. But he spent good money to come in there, and he can't even fully enjoy the show because he can't fit in the seat. He should be pissed off at the arena, right, for not providing accommodations for him. So you can argue it either way, but the bottom line is there needs to be something. He should have a seat that can accommodate him, and I should have a seat that I can sit in without having to be hunched over on my girlfriend the whole time because I can't fit in my seat because of some fat ass beside me who's leaking skin dandruff all over me. So there's got to be some solution to this, and I don't know what it is. I do think the average size seat needs to go up in size and width anyway. They've got to do that. I don't know who come up with the dimensions for these seats. But times have changed. They're bigger now, they're wider now, right? So you need to compensate, you need to adjust the seat widths to better accommodate American society today. And that's across the board, whether it's airplanes, arenas, restaurants, whatever. If it's a public place that offers chairs, it needs to offer wider sitting areas, okay? It does. But there's got to be some responsibility taken on the fat people too. Like I said, this guy, he didn't roll in there in a wheelchair, folks. From the parking garage to the arena is a good walk. Once you get in the arena, to get to your seat, it's a good walk. And then of course he has to go up numerous stairs to get to that seat. So he has the physical ability to walk. And if you got the physical ability to walk, then you can lose weight. You can. It'll take some dedication possibly. You're gonna have to work at it. You're gonna have to make some dietary changes, some lifestyle changes, but you can do it. If you're physically able to exercise, you can lose weight. Now, some people, listen, there's some people out there I know, they've got weight issues and they've got other injuries or other health issues that limits their ability to exercise. That's completely understandable. But this guy, he's young. Okay, this guy, he was probably in his early 20s, folks. I mean, he was a younger guy. He's just fat. Put down the Coca-Colas, put down the potato chips, give up the Little Debbie cakes, and get your fat ass out there and walk every day. I don't care if it's walking around your subdivision, walking around a track at the gymnasium, just walk. Walk and then jog until you can get to a point where you can run. Do something. But how do you, I mean, and again, this is just my own ignorance here, and I'm gonna piss a lot of people off with this. But as a man, I ain't talking about women here, because I don't, you know, I can't relate what it's like to be a fat woman. I can't relate to what it's like to be a fat man either, but go with me on this, folks. If you're a man and you start putting on a little weight, especially from like puberty on, okay? And I mean, these kids today, some of these kids out there are fat too. These parents are buying them Happy Meals every day and giving them Coca-Cola from the day they're born. I'll never forget, I had a damn patient in the damn ER, and this kid was way too young to have Coca-Cola. But there was damn Coca-Cola in like a formula bottle there. I shit you not. I mean, they're starting them on these sugary drinks so young now. A lot of these kids are obese from the time they're born. It's ridiculous, and we wonder why we got a problem in society. But here's the thing. If you're a man and you're starting to put on weight, and this guy beside me at the concert, he didn't get 450 plus pounds overnight, right? That took a while to get to that point. When you get, as a man, when you get so big that you can't see your pecker anymore, to me, that's got to be rock bottom. You're like, one day you go to the bathroom and you're like, I can't see my pecker anymore. That's the day that I put the fork down, folks. That's the day. When I can't see little Justin anymore, I'm done with all them Little Debbie cakes and potato chips and Coca-Colas. I'm done with it when I can't see my pecker anymore. And I promise you, that guy that I was sitting beside, he ain't seen his pecker in ages. I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't have a mangina where it's inverted up in. And you think that don't happen? Call me a liar. I promise you, I've seen it numerous times. Folks, in the ER, I have had to put catheters in men before where you treat it literally like a damn vagina that you're putting a catheter in. Literally, because you can't see. Like, I've had people in there, I've had teammates there on staff, like, you almost have to put the patient in a Trendelin bar, get them like leaning. You got to tilt the bed like where their head's going down to kind of get that weight off. And then you have people, one on each side, come back and lift up the fat down there. And then I'll take my hand and push in to try to get the head of the pecker to pop out so I can put a catheter in. I literally had that happen. Like, there's so much fat that it inverts up in there and it creates like a mangina. Like, I mean, as a man, how do you get to that point? I mean, when you're putting on so much weight that you can't see your pecker anymore, you're like, it's time to stop with, you gotta put the fork down. It's over, it's done. Like, I'm going on a diet at that point, whatever it takes. But these guys, they eat themselves to death. And this guy at the concert, I mean, yeah, he's probably in his 20s, early 20s probably. At least 450 pounds. He's gonna be dead by the time he's 50. You know, and he's going to have, I mean, even right now, I promise you, everything he does has got to be miserable. Sitting on the damn armrest of the chair because he can't fit in the seat, that has got to be miserable. Now, maybe at the Jelly Roll concert, it's not so demoralizing because there were so many other large people there, and Jelly Roll himself is certainly a large person, and he's inspired. I find Jelly Roll to be a very inspiring person. So I'm sure to somebody like the kid beside me, being at the Jelly Roll concert is probably a big deal, right? But just his normal everyday life, I mean, does he have a job? What is he doing? Does he go to school? What's it like for him to try to fit in a desk at school? What kind of vehicle is he in? You know, I drive a compact car. I've got a car and a truck. I brought my car over here on this trip. This guy couldn't have fit in my car. You know, it's like, it's got to be demoralizing to be in that situation, but yet he don't do nothing about it. It's one thing to be in a situation and you can't help it, but in his situation, I promise you he could help it. I promise you he could. Now he may have some other underlying medical problems that I don't know about, sure, but he's got the ability to exercise, and he proved that by walking his fat ass in there to the concert. And that's the case with more people than not. Yes, there are a percentage of people that have health problems and injuries and immobility that limits their ability to exercise, which then undoubtedly causes them to put on extra pounds, which then causes them to be depressed, which then it perpetuates the cycle, right? Sure. But there's a lot of people that's just fat and lazy. They're just too damn lazy. They won't get off their fat ass and go outside and do something. That's what the bulk of our society, the people that's overweight in, that's what makes up, and I'm gonna piss a lot of people off by saying this, but somebody needs to say it. You know, nowadays, if you try to, and we were running into this when I was still in the ER. When I first started back in the day, doctors, you go in to discharge somebody, and the doctor would be like, look, you got this, and this going on, like, you need to lose weight. If you lose weight, these other problems go away. You would tell people that. You would be honest with them. You'd tell them that because it's the damn truth. But toward the end of my time there working in the ER, and I've been out of the ER now, 4 years now, I've been doing this YouTube crap full time. Toward the end, you couldn't say that anymore. You couldn't bring up a person's weight. Even if they needed to lose weight, you couldn't do it because it was considered fat shaming. And I'm like, what the hell's the world come to when you can't be honest with people? You can't tell people what's wrong with them from a medical standpoint because it's considered fat shaming. No, if you're going to consider obesity as a medical condition, then you have to tell people you got to lose weight. You're eating yourself to death. And it's just, and listen, I don't give a damn what a person chooses to do with their life. If you want to just sit on your fat ass and eat little Debbie cakes 7 days a week, do it. It's your life. If you want to be dead by 50 and have to have 14 different pallbearers because nobody can, a normal pallbearer crew can't carry your fat ass out, fine. That's your choice, that's your right. As an American, we have the freedom to do what we want, so do what you want. But when your choices infringe on my ability to have a good time at a concert because I'm squished into half of my seat and having to choke down skin dander, then it's a problem. And I shouldn't be punished because of your poor decisions in life. So I think they ought to have to buy 2 seats at the minimum. And I know some of you said, well, Justin, if you got a problem with it, why don't you just buy 2 seats? I shouldn't have to. Because if he's a normal-sized human being, I go to that concert and I have a damn good time. I had a good time anyway. It was an amazing show. Best concert I ever been to, minus the fat guy beside me. But I shouldn't be punished because of somebody else's irresponsibility. I shouldn't be punished by it. Why should I have to buy 2 seats? It's not like I'm saying I need a big buffer zone. I mean, I'd like to have a big buffer zone between me and somebody else, but I don't have to have that. I just need you to fit in your seat. Fit in between the armrests, and we will share the armrest between us. I don't think that's asking a lot, but it is in modern day society. And I couldn't imagine. I mean, imagine this, folks. What if I weighed 450 pounds and I had that seat? Him and I, like, we couldn't have been there together. Like, you couldn't have 2 people that size side by side. It wouldn't have worked. You couldn't have done it. He was that big. So, yeah, I don't know how we got on this. I've went way too long pissing the fat people off on my channel. I've undoubtedly pissed some people off. I pissed people off with it when I went on about the airplane rant. And I don't want you to think I didn't have a good time at this show because of it. My girlfriend had a great time laughing at me the whole time. She was just couldn't contain herself. She was enjoying it so much. But the show itself, Jelly Roll, I mean, puts on an amazing concert. If you've never been, highly recommend. If he comes to your town, go for it. It's worthwhile. Amazing show. He's a very talented individual. He puts on a great show. The special effects, all that, like it was really good. He had 2 people opening for him. The girl's name, I'm wanting to say it was Alexandra Kay. I think I had never heard of her before. But she was good. She put on a good show. She was the opening act. And then there was some guy, what was his, Warren Zyder was his name. And he had one song I'd heard on the radio, but I didn't think he was, he's a very talented person. It wasn't my cup of tea. I didn't find his performance to be, I was ready for him to be done and to get Jelly Roll out there. He's obviously a talented individual. He's had that #1 song, and I had heard it on the radio before, but I didn't really, it didn't do it for me. But Jelly Roll's part was amazing. Highly recommend seeing him. If he ever comes back, I will definitely go again. I would say it's the best concert I've ever been to, minus the fat guy beside me. If you take the fat guy out of the show, it was the best concert I've ever been to. But I mean, it was packed, that place. When we first got there, the show started at 7 o'clock. And that was that first girl, the opening act or whatever, 7 o'clock. I'm looking around and I'm like, boy, this place is kind of, there's a lot of open seats. I'm like, man, I thought this place would be sold out. Because I mean, living in Knoxville, folks, we're not a big city. Like, we're not a big attractions don't come to Knoxville very often. So when they do, it's a big deal. If Jelly Roll comes, it's a big deal. If Morgan Wallen comes to do a concert at the football stadium, Neyland Stadium, it's a big deal. I didn't go to it, but I mean, they packed that place. So I expected the concert to be sold out. And we're there at 7 o'clock, the opening girl there, opening act, and I'm looking around like, boy, there's a lot of open seats. And I'm trying to eyeball some seats, you know, like if that seat over there, if those 2 seats are open, I done told my girlfriend, like if nobody sits there by the time Jelly Roll comes out, we're gonna go snatch those seats, get away from fat ass over here. But No, by the time Jelly Roll come out, like everybody had showed up and they got there, got their seats, and it was packed. And getting out of there, my gosh, it was like, I mean, you're shoulder to shoulder packed in like sardines getting through the concourse to get outside of the arena to walk back to the car. And then of course it takes forever to get out of the parking garage to get out of there, but hell of a show, totally worthwhile going. Could have done without the guy beside me. That really put a damper on, not for my girlfriend though, boy, she loved it. Here we go. Oh, another one let it go. That was on the chicken. Another one hit us at least. It'd been a while. Yeah, it's something about my girlfriend loving my misery. I don't know what's up with that. She sure seems to get a kick out of it. I think I've about broke my girlfriend into the cat though. I've told this story. My mom had actually texted me while I was fishing yesterday to say this other cat had come back to my house, this orange one. I got one cat in my house right now while I'm gone. That stray from my neighbors. I've been taking care of it, and it's been doing good. My mom said it ain't tore up nothing in the house. It's been using the litter box. Like it's been good. The other cat, I want to take to the vet when I get home. I didn't want to put it in my house because I don't know what it's got, what's wrong with it and stuff. But I like that cat. And the cat that's in my house right now, I think I've got my girlfriend just about, because I was just sneaking it in at night when she wasn't there. And last week it was raining one night. I told my girlfriend, like, oh, we can't leave the cat out there in the rain. It's got to come in. And she gives me the look. But I let the cat on in. And the cat, it goes right up there to my girlfriend, gets in her lap, curls up, goes right to sleep. Like the cat has chosen her as its human. And my girlfriend's allergic to cats. So like she's never really experienced a cat liking her before because she's always tried to avoid them. And my last cat, it died last year. It was 16. It just got old and got some health problems there and died last year. But it hated my girlfriend. Like my last cat, I was its human, and it didn't like nobody else. It loved me, hated everybody else. The cat was basically taking on my personality. I like who I like and I hate everybody else. But so my girlfriend's never really had a cat before that liked her. And this one just loves her. I mean, right in her lap, sound asleep. So I think she's coming around to the idea of us keeping this cat, not only keeping it, but keeping it in the house, making it a house cat, a house kitty. But I don't know how she's going to be if I try to keep the other cat too. That's going to be a possible ordeal. But I feel so bad for this other cat. He's skin and bones. His ear, he's been in some fights because his ear's messed up. His eyes are messed up. And he's turned, now that I won't say I've tamed him, but he's gotten used to me. He used to be just wild, you know. He'd hiss at me and run off. I couldn't get within arm's length of him, even when I was trying to feed him. Couldn't do it. But now he trusts me, and I'm able to pet him, and he's really friendly, and he's a really good cat. I'm taking him to the vet when I get home. I was worried because my mom hadn't seen him while I'd been gone. She thought the people cleaning up my neighbor's house maybe took him to the pound or took him off or something. She still ain't seen the other cats, but he was back on the porch yesterday and he'd eat and stuff. So when I get home, I'm hoping to win this tournament tomorrow and win me a bunch of money, and I'm gonna take him to the vet and get whatever he needs done, fixed with him, get him neutered. And once that happens, I'm hoping I can be like, I can tell the girlfriend, like, well, honey, he just got neutered. He's got surgery. I got to leave him in the house for a few days, make sure he's okay. And then that will just turn into keeping him in there permanent. How's that for a plan, folks? She's going to be so pissed. We've went from having no cats in the house the last year since my last one died to now we're about to have 2 potentially. I've said, look, my last cat, I got her when I moved into my house. That was 16 years I'd had her. So I got her shortly after I'd moved in. And I bought my house. Yeah, I bought my house in 2006. I moved in 2007. Yeah, I got her in 2007, and she died last year, 2023, so 16. But I miss her. I miss that cat, but I haven't missed having a cat. The kitty litter, the puking, the hair, scratching up furniture, getting on kitchen counters. I ain't missed none of that, folks. I haven't. And so I didn't think I'd ever have another cat. But then my neighbor moves and just abandons all her cats. And I'm like, I got to feed them. And, you know, then you start getting attached and bonded and stuff. And now I'm about to have me 2 cats. I'll tell you what I am going to do, though. If it ends up working out that I'm pretty sure I've got the girlfriend okay with the 1 cat that's in the house right now. The 2nd cat is going to be a battle, but regardless, assuming we are able to keep this cat, or cats plural, when Black Friday rolls around here real soon, I'm going to look into one of them litter robots. It's the damnedest thing, folks. It's a litter box that cleans itself. Like, the cat goes in, does its business. When it steps out of the litter box recognizes that a cat has been in there and is no longer in there, so it will spin. And it will drop the litter, or the clumps, down into a basket below, into a bin, a trash bin, basically. And it's got another thing up top that will add more litter to the area there that they go in. And it basically does everything for you. And then you get a notification on your phone when it's time to empty out the bin. And you just pop that bin out, zip up the trash bag, and you're done. No more scooping out litter boxes like I've done for 16 years with my other cat. I used to scoop out that litter box and throw it over on my neighbor's property because I hate them so bad. But yeah, no more doing that. You know, they're expensive as hell. They are proud of their work with them litter robots, buddy. They're several $100s. But I'm thinking on Black Friday, whether it's the company's website itself or Amazon, somebody's going to have one of them things on sale. Somebody's going to have them at a big discount. So if they go down in price, I'm probably going to pull the trigger on it. Because the cat that's in the house right now, the one we're calling Midnight, it's a young cat. I don't know how old it is. This time last year was the first time I had seen it at my neighbor's, and And I know it was this time last year because I was out there chainsawing, cutting down some trees, and that cat would be around my feet while I'd be running the chainsaw like it was fearless. And so, and it was young then, so I'm thinking it's probably 2 years old at the most, maybe. So it's got, I mean, barring any kind of major illness, it's got a long life ahead of it. Now the other cat, the one that's just skin and bones right now, it's older. I don't know how old, but it's definitely older than this one. So, and it's obviously got some health problems going on. So I don't know about it. Like I don't know how old, but either way, even if we just end up with the one cat, we're gonna have it for many, many years. You take on a pet like a cat, it's, I mean, a 15 to 20 year commitment. Because cats can live a pretty good long time. So, if I gotta invest hold on, we got a little something happening. We got something. He's after it. He nipped it a few times. We moved out. We're 20 feet deep down here now. Is he gonna take it? Don't be chewing up that perch, fish. I need it. We need it. Oh, just a tease. Just a nip. You can see though, folks, we launched back over there in that corner. You can see we've covered quite a bit of distance now. Half a mile an hour we've been going. Where are we at on time here? 2 hours into this. So we've covered probably a mile, give or take. And one damn channel cat and 2 good bites. And 2 perch. Boy, what an ordeal. You know, the deeper we're getting out here though, we're not really catching anything out here. I wonder if we shouldn't turn and kind of go. Oh, I hate doing that though. Here's what we're going to do. We're at least going to work out to this point. I'll get the X off there. See that little point right here that cuts out? It's a little tip of a point. And we're going to work our way down to it. If we ain't got nothing by the time we get past that point, then I'm probably going to just turn. We'll get back up here kind of on this flat and start making our way back that way. That'll be what we'll do. That's the plan. Now if we get bit between here and there, out here in this channel, along these contours, then we'll keep going. But if we don't, then I want to go back to where we was getting, well, at least where we got the other 2 big bites at. Because I mean, I didn't fight them long, but the fact they nailed it, was pulling a little line, and then I felt the weight of them when I picked up. Those were better quality fish that we missed. Now, I don't know why we missed them, but they were better quality. How big they were, I don't know. Could they have been fun size? Possibly. Could they have been bigger? Maybe. We'll never know. But either way, we were getting them when we were still kind of back there on that flat, not so much out here kind of in this channel. There ain't nothing been going on out here. And listen, I wish we had more bait and we could be cycling through stuff, you know, refreshing everything more. I certainly would like to do that. I'd like to be switching out baits every 30 minutes to an hour or so, but I'm trying to be conservative today because perch has been so hard to come by. I want to ideally kind of keep these damn things until, make sure I got enough for tomorrow, really, because I'm gonna throw that ultralight this afternoon, man. I'm gonna throw it till dark. I thought I'd come out here, catfish 3 or 4 hours, and then if we were getting perch, then I'd keep catfishing. If we're not getting perch, and clearly we ain't got but 2, then I'm gonna have to go get the ultralight and just throw and throw and throw and throw and throw, however long it takes to get us bait for tomorrow. I will have us bait for tomorrow, folks. I will not quit until I get it. I definitely want to make our way out here, though. In a world where everything is the same, anything like this that stands out. There's actually another one right up here, too. See this other point kind of goes out? It's got a road bed on it. That's interesting. I like things like that that just kind of stand out. In a world where everything's the same, fish what's different. Check it out. Let's lower these back down a little more. Finally getting out here though, 20, 21 feet, I feel a little bit more comfortable suspending a bait, even though suspending baits hasn't really done much for us. And we did get one yesterday. Oh crap. Would you believe I dropped that thing down? There it comes. And got instantly snagged. Lost my bait too when I done that. Lost my bait when I got snagged. And some weeds or something down there. We'll put another bluegill on that. Try it anyway. I don't have a great deal of confidence that the suspended baits are going to get it done for us. The bigger fish yesterday, we did get one suspended yesterday, but the better fish was dragging. Most of the people out here that fish out here, they're dragging. When I won the tournament a few years ago, I was actually used my kayak to access a bank spot and was fishing off the bank. So I was just casting lines out on bottom, but yeah, we're at least gonna have a suspended line out. I may or may not fish with a suspended bait tomorrow. We'll see. We'll see how much bait I have. All right. I sure wish we'd have landed them two big fish though, or the two better bites. I'd feel much better about that if we could have just seen them. Because I mean, here's the thing. This spot, for tournament purposes, it allows me to fish the whole day. As we got a snag. There we go. So, if we could make this work for tomorrow, this would be much more ideal than the place we went yesterday. But without knowing the quality of fish that are here, if we can't get y'all to reel one in without losing it, it's hard to come back here. So unless we hook into something else and we can actually see the quality of these fish. The two bites we had, I promise you they weren't channel cats. The ones we lost, like they were better quality fish, but is it better quality as in 35-inch fish? Or is it better quality as in 45-inch fish? Because you're gonna need to be closer to 45 inches to win than 35 inches. 35 inches ain't gonna, you get 3 35-inchers tomorrow, you probably finish middle of the pack. You're going to have some 40-inch class fish. It's tough to judge. I mean, I've caught fish that have buried a rod like that and took a little line and they didn't end up being very big. So you can't just judge it by the takedown. I know they were better class fish, but I mean, I can't judge. I can't say definitively it's a 30-inch fish, 40-inch fish, etc. So unless we can actually get one to hook up and stay hooked up, I'm not going to be able to use this spot tomorrow. I'm not going to be able to come back here in place of the other one. Now we're going to just go just a little bit further here to this point. Then I'm going to turn us around and we're going to go right back up onto this flat, and we're going to work shallower for the second half of our session here and see if that don't help our odds, try to maybe get back into the depth there that we hooked those other fish. Because I mean, let's say we hook those fish, we got them up, they were 40+ inch class fish. It's still very difficult for me to get behind the idea of working these flats with 2 rods against guys who are going to be running 8 rods or more. But I mean, if we could dial in a depth and just keep pounding that depth up and down on it, that could equalize it a little bit. But it's hard to do that when you're only getting 2 damn bites. Like it's just, and I mean, yesterday was like that. It wasn't a lights out day. We weren't catching bukus of fish. And of course, the last times I was here, 2019 and 21 or 22, whenever it was, I wasn't having 20 fish days. I mean, I was getting good quality fish. I had several fish, but it wasn't every rod going down all the time. Like it wasn't that kind of fishing, folks. So I didn't come out here expecting to set the world on fire, but you'd like to get more feedback than what we've gotten. My buddy Ryan, he's over here pre-fishing right now. His first day, he got several fish. And he said he was catching them at all different depths, like they were really in an area where he was at. But he wasn't getting great quality, he said. And so he went somewhere different yesterday, and they didn't do any good at all. He's fishing with our other friend Chris. They drove down together, and so it's not just. And our other friend Adam from Kansas, he was here yesterday too, somewhere out here, and he didn't do any good. So it's been kind of hit or miss, sporadic for all of us. But somebody on tournament day, somebody's going to get on them. Somebody's going to have a section of the lake they're on that they're going to get their 3 big bites. And I want it to be me. I want to stick it to these guys. It's the final tournament of the year. I'm leading the Angler of the Year race. I want to go out with a bang. And I want that extra money. I want to go spend it on that cat. You got to spend your money on something, folks. Why not vet bills for a cat that ain't even yours? I said it there, though, yesterday. I'm walking away a winner in this tournament regardless, because the worst I'm going to finish in the Angler of the Year race is second place. I'm either going to win or get second. I can't go any further down than that with the points the way they are. So first place in that is 2,900. Second place is 13 or 1350. So I'm getting a nice check regardless. But I'd like to get 2 nice checks. That's what I want to do. And you know what else I want to do? I want to catch a fish right now. I'm getting impatient, folks. I'm very impatient right now. I just want to see what's up here. As we go over the tip of this, I want to see what it looks like on the graph. We're not going to actually, I'm not going to, if we're not seeing any fish up here around this point, I'm not going to bother trying to drag baits past it. I mean, if there's nothing there, there's no point in it. If there are fish there, then we'll keep dragging past it. But I think we're going to end up turning and going back into the shallows here. It's weird. I don't know why this is. But down there on the lower end, the shallows is just nothing but weeds everywhere. But up here, the shallows, it wasn't too weed infested. Like you can drag through it. So it's weird how that is. Yeah, we're coming up on it here now. I'm not seeing anything. I've got that transducer looking 60 feet out. Oh, we got a fish. This one's pulling a little line too. Let's see if we can stay buttoned up with this one. Well, y'all try to, let me reel this one in, folks. Because I know damn well y'all gonna lose this thing if I let you all try to reel in another one. You've lost every fish that you've hooked into today. So let me just handle this one myself. Let me show you how it's done. Y'all take notes on this, how to land a fish. He's coming at us, buddy. Boy, he is coming right at us. He's just a hitting and a getting it coming up here. Watch him come up here and getting our bait line. That's a good one. He's trying everything in the world, getting some lines up here, folks. Thankfully, he's gonna stay back there maybe. We don't want him in that bait line. We had a mess yesterday with one of them fish. Let's just see. I got my measuring board with me too, so we can put this thing on the board just for duties and giggles and see what he'll end up being. I saw a tail just then. It is a blue. I didn't see all of him though. It's a good one. That's a good one. We'll throw him on the board and find out. Gonna play him out a minute though. He's wound. Well, see folks, you see what happens. You let me reel one of them in and we actually land the damn thing. That's another one on the perch though. That perch is gonna be the ticket for us. Both of the big bites on the perch. This fish we landed on the perch. Both the big fish yesterday on it. That's gonna be key for us. This one's still got the bait on for now if he don't throw it off. In fact, I'm gonna try to land this thing probably a little sooner than he needs to be because I want to get that bait back. This one was about 20 feet deep here, so he ain't as big as the ones yesterday, that's for sure. He's a longer fish though. We'll throw him on the board. He's gonna be probably 36, 38 inches. I'm guessing anyway, we'll see. Don't you throw that bait off there, fish. Get over here. Oh my gosh, he threw it off. You ornery devil. Oh man, we needed that. Who would have ever thought a perch could be so wanted or needed right now? We would be having a much better practice session, I feel like, if we had adequate bait that I could switch them out like we need to. And open up. Whenever you're ready, fish. Whenever you're ready. Come here, open that mouth. He won't open his mouth for nothing. You're gonna have to open up, fish. I can't boat lift you. Y'all get control of you fish here. I just want to put you on the board here, fish. There we go. Lordy mighty, you're just ornery old devil. He's long though. This is a long fish. There goes the hook without a bait on it. You know what? You know what we never did today? We never put up our front camera mount, did we? Maybe we jinxed ourselves by not putting it up. Let's get our board set up here. I want to throw him on there and just take a peek at the length to kind of gauge it. Yesterday it was a little over 40 inches and almost 44 inches was our other fish. So we'll see. See what this one is. I bet you he's going to be 38-ish. Yeah, I was close. He's about 39. I could make him 39 3/4 if I spread that tail out there probably. So a skinnier fish, don't have the weight on it as the ones yesterday, but lengthwise, that's pretty good, folks. That's pretty good right there, man. Let me set y'all up there. I'll set y'all up there a minute. Whew. Boy, it's took a while today, but we've got some bites. We finally landed us one here. Let's hold him up. Nice fish. Worth the wait, for sure, man. That's a good one. Not heavy, but lengthwise, I mean, 39. That's pretty good. That's a good fish. You got 3 of these on your score, you're in contention. All right, fish, what do you say we let you go? I think I'm gonna turn. We're gonna get him out of here. Oh, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm torn on this, folks, because perch has been, and I can't believe this blows my mind that I'm having so much trouble catching perch. But I ain't catching them. But I need to figure out, for tournament purposes, because this spot would be so much better for me. It's closer to our check-in, and I can start fishing closer to the launch site. I need to figure out if this is going to be the type of place where I can bust 3 fish over 40 inches in 8 hours tomorrow. I'm gonna put on 2 of them perch. We're gonna drag 2 perch. Boy, I hate to do it. I hate to do it, but that's the only way we're gonna figure things out, because the bluegill ain't done diddly doo-doo for us. The chicken, it ain't really done nothing for us. We're just gonna have to, go through our perch here. We're just gonna have to do it. Because I gotta figure out, I'm gonna find a way to get us some perch today. But I've got to figure out, is this spot where I want to come to tomorrow? And I just want to drag a couple. I want to run 2 rods with the perch. That's what we're going to do. We'll run 2, we're going to turn around. We're going to work from where we're at here, because I ain't seen nothing on this point. We're going to just work our way back up into the shallows and do that. That's what we're going to do, folks. I get these tails cut off. Or my knife's about dull and my scissors are about dull. These perch being so small, I mean, they're so small, I'm putting them on there basically whole. All right, let's turn. I'm gonna reel this back line in with the chicken on it. We're gonna switch it out. Hell, it don't feel like it's got anything on it. We may have been robbed. We've been robbed. We've been pulling around a bait with a weed on it here. Hell, ain't no wonder y'all ain't catching nothing with this. We'll put these perch on. We'll get turned, and then we'll set everything back out. All that mess off my hands. It's not been the best practice session for me, folks. I would ideally have a bunch of bait that we could be switching out. You know, I felt pretty good. I felt pretty confident in the perch after what happened yesterday. But I still thought we'll try the bluegill and the chicken today because I don't have enough perch to really use perch exclusively. I'd like to be kind of playing around with the speed a little bit, but try to get that kind of dialed in. But I mean, it just, when you're struggling to get bait, it just is what it is, man. You got to try to figure out what you can with the bait you got. And you could make an argument that I should have just started bait fishing today to make sure that I had plenty of bait, but I wanted to come out here and get one more catfish session in just for a few hours, just to try to see what we could learn. Just because of, like I said, the spot gives us more of an opportunity to fish longer during tournament hours tomorrow. And so, I don't know, man. I don't know. 39 inches is a pretty good fish. It ain't the class of fish that we got yesterday, but that's pretty good. That's a good fish. Let's see what we get as we work our way back up through here. If we can put another fish or two like that in, if we get another one 40 inches or more, I'm probably going to come back here tomorrow. I don't know. We'll see. It may be game time decision in the morning. I'm not 100% sold on anything right now. I can be persuaded any which way. I got to find some perch, though. That's what I got to do. I mean, it just blows my mind. I mean, we've only got 2 out here this morning, and it's like, it's the easiest fish on the planet to catch. Why can't I catch them? Don't make any sense. We'll raise these things up too. We gotta watch our depth now. Going the other way as we come up. Let me just make sure our bluegill's still on. Yeah, it's still on there. Even the bluegill I've caught over here have been tiny. I can't even find any big bluegill. I'm just struggling on bait, man. I'm just struggling on the bait. I'll let out just a little bit more line on this other rod here on the back. But I'll tell you this, if you're struggling and you end up catching a fish like we just got, that's a pretty good way to struggle, ain't it? I mean, I've had worse days. I'd say them bites that we got that just didn't stay button for whatever reason was probably comparable, wouldn't you think? I mean, they're somewhere in there. Okay, I flipped that bail over. We're pulling along here, so we're just gonna work back up here onto this. I want to cruise around and see what all this is. See what's going on up in there. Because I mean, we followed this out a pretty good ways, and just once we dropped off into that little bit deeper depth, that was the first bite we'd gotten in a while. So we've got we got to mix things up here and see if we can't work our way shallower. Plus, too, here's another thing. It'd be kind of a good idea now that we're a couple hours into the trip, the sun's getting higher up in the sky. What's going to be going on in the shallows, if anything? Because typically my mindset would be fish would be shallow nighttime, early morning. They might move up again around sunset. But during the middle of the day, late morning, midday, those fish would be pulling deep. That'd be my mindset. So it'd be good to know, can we catch anything shallow as we make our way back up through here? Yesterday, the bite really slacked off the last hour or two of the trip, which I think was like around 12 or 1 o'clock. So I got a really late start yesterday because of the, not only the time I got started, but also the time it took me to get out to fishable water. Got a really late start. I don't know. I'm indecisive. Need more fish, need more feedback. We know, the perch though. We've tried bluegill, chicken, and perch. Both big fish yesterday, perch. All 3 of our big bites today on perch. My smallest blue yesterday on the chicken. And we got the channel cat on the chicken earlier. I didn't catch anything. I didn't even have a hit on the bluegill yesterday. And we had a hit on the bluegill today. And yesterday I dragged it, today I've suspended it. So I don't think bluegill is the ticket out here right now anyway. It may be other times, and I caught big fish a few years ago on bluegill. But it don't seem to be right now. Right now it seems to be the perch. 5 big bites on a perch, no big bites on anything else. Like that's, the old once is an accident, twice is a pattern, that's 5 times. So I think we need to stick with the perch. If I can catch the damn things. We get done catfishing, man, I'm gonna get over here, because we ain't catching them out here deep. I'm gonna get over here on the shoreline, and I'm gonna work that shoreline all the way around, all over up here. And I'll try them with the plastics. If I ain't catching with that, I'm gonna run over here to the bait shop and buy me some damn minnows and some worms, and I'll live bait them. Because I've got to get some perch. Who would have ever thought that perch would be my problem here? If you had told me the weather was going to be bad and the wind was going to be an issue, I'd believe it. After the first day, if you told me I was going to have trouble finding fishable water close to a launch site because of the weeds, I'd have believed it. But if you told me on day 1, Justin, you're going to have a hard time catching bait, I'd have laughed in your face. But that's where we're at with it. It was kind of like that too for the Louisiana tournament. I won, things worked out. But I went out there, netted some mullet, threw 1 throw. I had a whole net full, man, filled my cooler up. I'm thinking, great, I know where they're at, I'll be back. Day before the tournament, I'm throwing. I threw to my damn arm, about fell off. Got 2 mullet. Kept them both alive overnight. Got to the water the next day. Turned the damn bucket over getting in the kayak. Lost one of them out. But the one that I threw out, the live one I had, man, I got him eat. Got my biggest fish of the tournament on that live bait, and I had enough scraps left over from the previous bait catching session to get me through, and I ended up using those to get the other fish I needed to win. But I mean, by noon in the tournament, I was down to scraps. I mean, I didn't have nothing left. So who knows what would have happened if I'd had a cooler full of bait. I don't want to be in that situation tomorrow. You know, I don't want to have to be conservative with bait on tournament day, especially if I'm only dragging 2 rods, which is, it seems like that's what it's going to take tomorrow. I'll probably throw out a suspended rod or 2 just for duties and giggles. But it seems like, actually probably what I'll do is I'll probably drag 2, I'll suspend 1, and my 4th rod, instead of suspending it, I'll go ahead and have another dragging rig tied on it. That way, if I break off tomorrow, I can just pull the other rod out and be ready to go and not have to take downtime of retying. It'll help me be more efficient on the water. Because, I mean, the suspended baits, if I win this tournament tomorrow, I'm going to catch them dragging. That's what my 3 fish are going to come on. It's going to happen dragging. I believe that in my soul right now. Based on yesterday and today, I believe that in my soul. And if I end up fishing real shallow, now I say real shallow, I mean 20 feet or less, then I don't have a great deal of confidence in catching fish on suspended baits. Anyway, here we go. Here we go. Another one's pulling. Another one's pulling, buddy. 16 feet. Here, y'all let me reel this one in. Y'all lose it. I know you will. Yeah, buddy, we got the perch on. We're getting back up here a little bit shallower again, and boom, we'll get bit again. He's way out there. I see him. He's up on the surface. Way out there. All right, folks, another bite here. Another bite. I'm feeling better about this all the time now. Slow couple hours. We couldn't get anything going. But for those of you that stuck with me, we may be turning the corner here. Yeah, this one ain't gonna be as big as the last one. He's already up on the surface. He's give up. He's thrown in the towel. He said he heard that I was reeling him in instead of y'all, so he knows he's whooped. He knows he ain't getting free. If he had heard y'all was reeling him in, he'd still be fighting because he knowed he'd be able to unhook himself. He's still got the perch on there too. Don't throw that perch off, fish. I mean it, we need it back. We need that perch, buddy. I need that perch more than I need you. If you want to throw yourself off the hook, you go right ahead, but leave the bait on, please. Please and thank you. I'm gonna... Oh my gosh, he threw it off. Where'd it go? Damn it. Damn it. I want to say some other words too, and I can't. Because y'all here with me and you got virgin ears. Oh. You danged old fish. You know what? You sit there and think about what you've done while I raise these other lines up, because we're coming up shallower. Jaggummit, man. And yes, I'm that pissed off over a perch because I need them. Dang it. And it hadn't been out there long either, so I know it was still going to be in good shape. He just threw it off. I can't believe you've done that, fish. You ought to be ashamed of yourself. He ain't the least bit ashamed of himself. He's hooked right here in the bottom of the lip. Now I got to be careful so I don't end up wearing that hook. Get over here. Get over here. Get out of your system. You gonna come in here. I ain't gonna unfold that board for him because I know he ain't the size we need. But I will throw him on the folded portion of it. It folds at the 30-inch mark, so we can kind of gauge. He's, I don't know, 32, 33 inches probably. You blew your chance at front camera time, fish. I'll tell you that. You done gone and done it, fish. Dadgummit. Man, needed that perch back, y'all. He needed it. This one here's our last one, and he's small. He is very small. Maybe we'll luck into some more with our bait rod as we move along. If any of y'all are looking at anything for a possible Christmas gift for me, a cooler full of perch. A cooler full of perch and a time machine so that at Christmas you can go back in time and bring it to me right about now. That would be great. Let's see what he's done with my leader here. Got it all wrapped up. Got that thing all twisted up on my leader, didn't he? What's he done here? There we go. All right, let's throw our next perch on. Just going under the gills, right out there in the middle of the forehead. All right, let's start letting out some line on that. Keep making our way along. Hopefully run into some perch. We're in bad shape, folks. We're in bad shape on the bait. That's another one on the perch, though. Come pretty quickly after we switched our baits out. Like that tells me everything I need to know about the bait. Now, speed, depth, area we need to be fishing them perch, that still remains to be seen. But, and here's the thing, I'd like to be playing with our speed. I'd like to crank this up 0.7, 0.8 miles an hour, speed it up, see if we can trigger a bite moving faster. But because we need bait, I can't do that. Because if I bump us up to 0.7, 0.8 with our bait rod, it's going to be way up in the water column because of the water resistance. As we move forward, it's going to push it up. I'm not going to be able to keep it vertical. And I want to leave the bait rod out while we're out here because we need every bait we can get. So we're going to keep our speed as it is, about a half mile an hour. We'll just forego that right now and see if we can figure out, at least dial in maybe like a depth or, you know, something like that. See if we can figure out, see what else we can figure out aside from the speed. We know the bait though. That's pretty big, knowing the bait we need. Now catching that bait's a different story, but at least we know what we need. Yeah, we're just going to work our way up here even shallower. Maybe we get up here in the shallows, maybe we get on some more bait. I don't know. They don't seem to be deep. Flip our bail over there. We're fishing again. Man, oh man. So that's now 4 bites, 2 fish landed, 39 3/4 and 32, 33 incher. And that fish hit it pretty good too. So, I don't know, them other 2 bites felt a little bigger, but We need some more fish. That's what we need. We need to catch some more fish here, and that way we can kind of figure out. That's the ultimate gauge right there, is what size of fish are you catching? Because we know what we're getting at the other place. We know what's there. If we could hook one big one here and land it so that we know, that would probably give me the confidence I need to come back here tomorrow. Just that other spot, man, if it wasn't so far away from the launch, I hate to have to end my day early. And I'm gonna have to end it way early. Here I can go right up to quitting time. But who cares? If I can go up to quitting time and there ain't 40+ inch fish here, then it don't matter. So this is what I go through, folks. For those of you coming along with me as I pre-fish out here and kind of basically talk to you, but at the same time kind of talk to myself, this is the kind of conversations I'm having in my head with myself out here as I get ready for a tournament. This is what I'm doing to myself. We're a long ways from the road, but boy, I hear them sirens. That sound carries. The wind has started to blow a little bit in this direction. So we may have to up our speed just a little bit to keep ourselves going in front of the wind, keep from the back end of the kayak spinning around. I would like to crank it up 0.8, 1 mile an hour or so. I just know we're not going to catch bait on that bait rig. I'm not going to have any chance at it doing that. And I don't want to throw it off behind us while we're moving along, because it's going to end up in my other lines in the kayak. My next kayak, when I get that bona fide, assuming I do go with that, but one of the things that I will be able to do with it is spin the seat around backwards, because it's got that 360 seat. And so one of the things I hope to do more of is be able to catfish off the back while also running a bait line. So I basically have 2 lines going off the side and 1 right off the back in the middle. And I think I'll be able to achieve that with the 360 seat and being able to place my rod holders where I want to. It's tougher to do in this situation where my seat is facing forward, and you know, I can do the catfish rods going off the side like this, obviously, but if I throw a rod off behind me, it's got to be in my other back rod holder, which it's literally right here molded in, so it's real close to this line over here, and it's a tangle waiting to happen. You really gotta. It's hard to do that. I've tried it and I always end up tangled, but I think I'll be able to avoid it better when I can hopefully fish off the back of the kayak and be able to turn around and face that direction, set my rod holders. I don't know how I'm going to do it just yet. I'm hoping tomorrow when I see that bona fide, I can get an idea of how I want to do it. Because here's what my thought process is right now. I'm going to do one of 2 things. I'm either going to mount the rod holders along the gunnels of the kayak, kind of like I've done here on this one, right? Well, these are on the rails, but they're on the sides. The other possibility is that I run a cross beam from gunnel to gunnel this way and have the rod holders mounted that way. And I've done that before. I've done that on my Old Town Autopilot kayak. I've done it on my Native Ultimate way back in the day. For those of you that's been with my channel since the very start, the very first video I ever posted was in that Native Ultimate kayak, and so it had that. And then I got that Old Town Autopilot kayak, and I had done the same thing, just run a 2x4 across and put rod holders on it. And so that's a possibility too. It's just going to depend on how I end up placing the rest of my gear. And so I've got to put the trolling motor battery, it's got to go somewhere. And my bait cooler, it's got to go somewhere. then you also got to leave yourself a little room. If you're in a tournament, you got to have your measuring board, right? You got to put it somewhere. So you got to take into account those things, and having a rod holder, having a bar or a rack going across, if you need to get to a cooler, a battery, et cetera, you've got that thing going across so you can get in the way. So it's just one of the things I've got to get in it, do some measurements, figure out where I can and can't put things. Part of me, I don't know if it's going to work out, but boy, if it does, this would really save some space in that bona fide. So most of you've probably seen this kayak by now, but the front of the kayak, you got a little hatch, and then you've got this standing platform that raises up that you can put a battery under, and then the floor, it drops down, you got the floor. Well, that standing platform that folds up, you can take that off, that's removable. And what they do is they give you some more tracks so that if you do want to take that off and use it as a tandem kayak and put another seat right there, that you can mount that seat over the area that's now exposed that was there as a standing platform. Because it's like a hatch that opens up. And that hatch, it's got its own liner basically around it. It's got its own scupper holes in there. And I'm thinking, I don't know how big that area is, but if I could fit my cooler down in that spot, because I'm never going to use that standing platform. Like, I don't envision myself standing up on that. I'm not a bass fisherman. Maybe you might throw it if I was maybe throwing a cast net for a shad or something, maybe. But otherwise, I'm never going to use that standing platform as a standing platform. So I don't really need it. So if I could remove it and put my cooler in that slot, then it gets it out of the way, and it's in its own little molded in area there with its own scupper hole. So when I've got my cooler, I always take the drain plug out so that as my ice melts, my bait's not just sitting there in ice water. Like it's on ice, the water drains out the bottom. And depending on what kayak you have, like this one here, it's not bad because, right, so my cooler's here, my drain plug's in the back, the water drains out, it goes down in the scupper holes and drains out the bottom of the kayak. Now you can see I've got mold and everything here where that water's run out, and you get the fish slime and blood and all that, it drains out too, kind of makes a mess. Well, that bona fide, if I can fit that cooler in that kind of molded in area there under the standing platform, well then as your water drains out your cooler, your mess is contained. It's not draining out all through your floor. So basically it don't stink up the whole kayak. You can kind of keep that area clean. At least that's what I'm kind of thinking anyway. And you may, depending on, and I don't know exactly where them scuppers are at, but you may could even run a tube from your cooler, like a little drain tube from your cooler outlet down to that scupper, and maybe not even get it all over the kayak as it drains out. Maybe just run it directly out that way. So I'm gonna definitely, I brought a tape measure with me because our tournament director, he's done picked his kayak up, he's got it rigged up, he's coming in, I think he's getting into town tonight, I think. And he was gonna fish tomorrow during the day while we're having our tournament. Oh, there's a big splash right there. So when he gets back tomorrow to our check-in there, I got that tape measure. I'm gonna go ahead and get measurements on that thing and just see what size of cooler I could fit in there, if at all. It's tough to tell. You can't look at it on a video and say, okay, well that's such and such cooler can fit down in there, and God forbid Bonafide actually posts some measurements on their website. You'd think, I mean, if I had a product like that, I'd have all the dimensions. I'd have all the measurements for the hatch space, you know, because I mean, anybody who's buying that kayak, you're not buying that thing to paddle. You're putting a motor on it. So you're going to have batteries, and you're probably going to have electronics. And all these bass fishing people, have all gone to live scope. I'm not putting the live scope on the new kayak, but I've got it on this one, you know. So you need to know dimensions of these storage hatches because you got to put batteries, you got to put your live scope box, you got to have your wiring and all that. It'd be nice to know where the damn dimensions are, so you know if you're buying batteries for the kayak, you know what size battery that you can and can't get. It'd be nice to know that. I don't know why they don't post that stuff, but they don't. Folks, someday when I take over the world, things are going to be different. Fat people are going to have to get 2 seats when they go to a concert or get on an airplane. And when a new kayak comes out, they're going to be forced to put the dimensions of the storage hatches on the website. Those are the 2 things that instantly, day one, when I take over, that's happening. I bet you I've pissed off a bunch of fat people though. And I want to reiterate this. I'm not hating on fat people. I'm not trying to shame anybody. I don't care if you're fat. I only care when it affects me. If your fatness affects me, I got a problem with it. If you want to go be fat and not affect me, I don't care. It's your life. Do with it as you want. But I shouldn't sacrifice half my seat because you're irresponsible with the fork. Okay? I just shouldn't. I shouldn't have to. We all pay a lot of money for them seats. I should get the full seat, whether it's airplane or the concert. It's interesting though to see how society has changed, even in my lifetime. I mean, I don't remember as a kid. I mean, don't get me wrong, we had some, when I was a kid growing up in school, we had some overweight kids. I mean, they wore, you remember back in the day, it was the husky jeans. That's what they were called. They were called husky for the larger kids, blue jeans, husky. But I mean, there was a few kids like that, but I mean, it wasn't widespread. But man, I go through, and I don't have any kids, so I'm not like in the school system or anything. I can't see all the kids at once, but I do see a lot of kids being out and about, just grocery store, shopping, things like that. I see children, and there's a lot of fat kids now. I mean, the obesity, it's a problem throughout the United States. Like, it is a real problem, and it's starting much younger now. And I just think it's all these sugary drinks, man. When you got these pathetic excuses of parents putting Coke and Pepsi and baby formula bottles, I was like, come on, what? I mean, that should be child abuse. It should be considered child abuse. And I ain't telling you how to raise your kids, but if you're giving a kid that young just super high sugary, like, no, you shouldn't be doing that. It's a problem, man, and I don't know what the solution is. I don't know if we get a solution to it, because I don't think anything's going to change. It'll be interesting to see, like, because this kind of started in my generation, really. I mean, that's when don't get me wrong, Coca-Cola and Pepsi and all that's been around forever, but in the old days, I mean, watch an episode of Andy Griffith, folks. You remember Andy Griffith? Excellent show. I've probably watched every episode multiple times. But if Opie got to go to the drugstore and get him a soda pop, it was a treat. It wasn't something Opie got every day. It was a treat. Now, these kids now, they don't drink any water at all. They ain't nothing but Cokes. That's all they drink. It's 100% of the liquids they take in are these Cokes. And these foods, I mean, back in Andy Griffith days, Opie Taylor, Aunt B, if he had a sweet tooth, Aunt B had to cook some lemon meringue pie. She had to actually fix a pie, bake a pie. Nowadays, nobody bakes anything. You just go to the store, you got little Debbie cakes and Elmer Fudd or not Elmer Fudd. What's the Keebler Elves? Those cookies, Chips Ahoy, Oreo. You got all these sugary treats everywhere, and it's like when you start young and you're eating that stuff your whole life, it just catches up with you. You know, your body's not getting what it needs, so it says, your body's saying, I'm starving. So it starts packing on the pounds. It starts storing fat, because when your body isn't getting the nutrients it needs, it says, well, we have to conserve, we have to store fat to survive. Now, you're getting plenty enough calories, but your body isn't getting the nutrients it needs. So in your body's sending signals to your brain like, hey, we need to make fat here. We're not getting what we need, we got to conserve. And so most of this crap that we're eating, it has no nutritional value. And so our bodies are getting a lot of calories, but they're not useful calories. And so everything gets turned into fat, which gets stored everywhere on our bodies. And so you end up with a bunch of kids now that are fat, and you get a bunch of, again, that guy I sat beside the concert, probably in his early 20s, over 400 pounds easily over 400 pounds. And it's like, I guarantee you, if he did some kind of like, if he listed his food intake for a week and was honest about it, I'd be willing to bet there wouldn't be one meal or one snack on there that would be healthy. And so I don't know what you do about it. I'm not going to go into the whole conspiracy thing of the powers that be trying to keep us all fat to control us. I don't think it's necessarily that malicious as it is just, hold on, I'm parched, y'all. My throat's raw anyway because my nose has been running a lot the last few days. Ever since I got to South Carolina, I don't know if something's blooming over here. I don't know if it's dust. I don't know what it is, but my sinus has been tore up. But I'm not saying that it's, I mean, some of you out there, more conspiracy theorists than I am, will say, oh, it's the powers that be. If they can keep us fat and sick, they can control us better. Is this a fish? Oh, we're snagged. Let's give it a little slack and see if we can just, oh, come on, please pop out of that thing. Pop out of it now. I ain't telling you again. All right, good. You see that? I give a stern talking there right there. I said, I ain't telling you again, it popped out. But, I mean, that's certainly a popular conspiracy theory, is there the powers that be, they're going to keep us fat and sick, and then they can control us. I get it. Listen, it sounds like a good theory as any. But I don't know that that's the case. I think it could be just be as simple as this. People want what people want. We are a gluttonous species, and when we get something we like, we go all in on it. So if you like having, like me for instance, I like Pepsi. I was having a Pepsi every single day for a while. I've cut way back. realize the error of my ways, but still, some people have a Pepsi. Every time they need to take a swig of something, it's a Pepsi, a Coke, some carbonated drink. They're just all in on it. Cookies, chips, all that. Nobody does anything in moderation. Everybody's all in on it. And so these companies, they're out to make a profit. They're trying to keep the lights on. They're going to make the products that people are buying. And they're going to make those products in such a way that hopefully people are going to, with the artificial flavors and additives and whatnot, to try to make them more enticing and more addictive so that we buy more. And so it's just it's a cycle, man. Humans buy this stuff. Companies make profit from that, so they make more of it. And, you know, I don't know how much money is made on broccoli or cauliflower versus how much money is made on Keebler Elves cookies. But I'd be willing to bet that the profit margins are higher on the Keebler Elf cookies because it's all artificial stuff, chemicals and whatnot. And everything's on an assembly line, I'm sure. So cost of that is a minimum, whereas you take something like a broccoli, you got to have land to grow it. You got to pay workers to go out there and harvest it. You got to ship it up from Mexico because that's where all our fruits and vegetables come from nowadays. And so it's like, you know, I mean, there's a lot of cost in that. So I don't think, and then too, here's the other thing, and nobody takes into consideration. It's perishable. There's a shelf life on broccoli. Them Keebler Elf cookies, you eat them 3 years from now. You probably won't even be able to tell how old it is. Broccoli, you don't have that long. So if it gets tied up in customs, even if it makes it to the store, it's only going to be, so I don't think the profit margins are nearly as, one, I don't think you're selling as much broccoli as you are Keebler Elves cookies, but two, the profit margins aren't as high for the reasons I mentioned there. So it's way better for companies to make Keebler Elf cookies than it is vegetables and fruits. Although there are ways they can jack up the prices. So when I got over here to South Carolina, I went to the store and get some snacks and things. And I'm trying to eat a little healthier. I'm trying to cut back on the goodies. So I was going to go over to the produce department and get me some fruit. And when it comes to eating an apple, I can eat an apple. You remember Carlito on wrestling? He would eat that. He'd take a bite of that apple and he'd spit it in somebody's face. He's like, I spit in the face of people who are not cool. But anyway, I like to eat an apple, and I'll eat one occasionally, just eat it off the core there. But if I'm at home, I'm gonna slice that thing up. Well, over here on the road, I'm staying in a hotel. I don't have any knife or anything to be able to cut an apple. At home, I got one of them apple slicers. You put the apple in the middle of the core, and you push down, and all the slices, just one swoop, all the slices come off. It's great. Very good invention. Over here, I don't have that. So I'm at the store, and they got these sliced apples, and they're in a bag. And I'm like, well, that's perfect, because I don't have to eat it off the core, and I don't have to have a knife to cut it. I mean, I got my bait knife, but I don't want to run that through an apple and then eat it. Give it some extra flavor, for sure, maybe some protein on there. But nevertheless, I buy them bags of apples, and I get up through there, and I'm walking out, I'm looking at my receipt, and I'm like, damn, that was expensive. The hell cost so much? Because I wasn't paying attention to the price when I picked them up. Well, hell, a bag of apples, which is probably 1 or 2 apples sliced up, $5. It's like $4.99. I'm like, are you kidding, for 2 apples? So they're making a fortune on that if they just get somebody to cut it up and put it in a baggie, they're gonna make a lot of money on that, a little extra profit. But them Keebler elves, buddy, they're good cookies. They taste good. I bet you the shelf life, they probably don't go bad. You could probably open one of them things up 5 years from now and it'd still taste good. I don't know how you fix the problem though with this country, everybody being fat and whatnot though. I don't know. The culture today, it's different, it's changed, and it'll change again probably in my lifetime as we got a fish. Oh, he let it go. I hope he didn't get the bait off there. Just a tease. We're 18 feet here. We're working through this area. We're getting closer, getting back over here where it's this flooded timber and the shallower depths. I'm just going to keep us going here this direction. The wind's kind of pushing us, and we're able to keep our speed right now. 0.6-ish and keep the back end of the kayak from spinning around. So, hey, my bait rod is still somewhat vertical there with the line, so we're just going to try to keep this line right now down through here. See what we get. And we'll either catch something or we won't. I know it's not been a very exciting day for you all probably as far as the productivity goes, numbers of fish. That one blue that we landed was a good quality fish. The second one there, fun sizer. Got them other big bites. So what have we got here total on this video now? We got the channel cat, 2 perch, 2 cats landed with 2 other bites that were solid takedowns that we lost. That ain't very good. This ain't gonna be an action-packed video, folks. This is real life fishing right here. I ain't posting those skunk video, but I ain't gonna say it's gonna be all glamorous. Like we just out here, we're grinding with the bait we got, and if we don't see something better though in the next hour or so, because I'm gonna have to wrap it up soon. It'd be nice to keep going all day. If I had bait, I would certainly go longer, but I've got to go get bait. I've got to. And I don't know how long that's gonna take. It could take me all afternoon based on what I've seen out here. I mean, if we're averaging, where are we at on this? Because we're over 3 hours and we got 2 damn perch out here. So if I'm averaging a perch an hour, boy, I'm in bad shape. I hope they're more up in the shallows though. That's where I'm gonna spend my time. Because yesterday we were fishing, you know, out in that channel 20 to 30 feet deep. We wasn't getting no perch out there. Only 2 out here. And both of those perch came, I'm pretty sure both of them, we were still in the teens in depth when we got both of those. So we'll try the shallows. I guess worst case scenario, I can try to barter, try to trade something to the fellas at the tournament check-in tonight. We got to meet up at, I got to look it up. I think it's 6 o'clock, 6 or 7. Do our board checks, get our tournament identifiers, all that. So got to do that tonight, and hopefully some of those guys have loaded up on perch somewhere. They're in here by the millions. So if you're on them, you're probably on a massive school of them. You catch them 2 or 3 at a time. But I have not been on them. I'm hoping somebody else has, and maybe I can barter. Surely there's something I can trade. As this fish here was tapping. We know the bait's still on since it was getting tapped just then. I don't really want to bother reeling it in to check it because hell, there ain't nothing else to put on the hook anyway. Unless we go back to the chicken, which ain't done us no good. There's so many people believe in chicken, and they'll argue with me about it. And you know, Kevin over here, that time I fished with him, he did catch a big fish on the chicken there and on the live stream. And I just don't. It's one of them baits I don't have a ton of confidence in. And like we was talking about earlier, if you don't have a ton of confidence in what you're doing, or the bait you have on, you start playing mind games, second guessing yourself. Like, you just gotta go with, make a decision and go with it. And I don't want to have to make a decision with chicken. I don't want to have to do it. Whatever I do tomorrow, though, wherever I end up, there's not going to be second guessing. Like, I'm going to go out there with a plan, and I'm going to do it, for better or worse. That's how it's going to be. That's it right there. Looks like there's a bigger fish chasing some smaller fish right there. It'd be nice if you'd see one of our baits right there, wouldn't it? We got that fish yesterday on the chicken. That was the one fish we caught on the suspended bait yesterday. And we got him eye in the sky here. I was looking at him. I saw him on the screen and I pointed it out, and boom, he nailed the rod and off it went. It was incredible timing. Now, there'll be some people that say, well, Justin's using live scope and caught that fish. I didn't use live scope to catch that fish. Now, we had the live scope transducer on, and we saw that fish come up and eat because of live scope, but I wasn't able to target that specific fish because of live scope. I was trolling along yesterday, and all of a sudden he popped on the screen, and boom, there goes the rod. So my tournament video from Louisiana come out here a couple weeks ago. Somebody commented on there and said that he had seen somebody else on somebody else's social media telling everybody that I only catch fish because of live scope, how easy it is. I'm out here catching big fish with this live scope. It's easy, whatnot. Anybody can do it. I thought, boy, bad timing for that guy to make that comment, because I was down there in Louisiana. I didn't have live scope with me. I had my pedal kayak. I was fishing 2 rods, using an actual anchor, a dumbbell for an anchor at that. Like, I was as basic as it gets. Didn't have any of that stuff and caught big fish. But it's amazing to me, the criticism I get over this live scope. People think you just go out, turn it on and catch big fish. And I haven't. Hell, I can't even turn it on and catch small fish. Like, you would think I'd be just easily finding the perch with this thing right now, right? Like, just roam around, find the schools of perch and settle. I can't even do that. I'm the worst live scope fisherman of all time. I'm terrible at it. I haven't gotten any better at all in the 2 or 3 years that I've had this thing now. And how the hell you use something for 2 or 3 years and still don't get any better at it, I don't know. But I'm awful at it. I have caught some catfish with live scope. Like, seeing them on the screen, tossing a jig out at the distance and depth they're at, and boom, catching a fish. But with the exception of one of them, they've all been really small. They've all been dinks, with the exception of one. And the funny thing was, and this video is on my channel too, the one big fish I caught using live scope, I thought it was a crappie when I threw at it. I had my ultralight rod and a small jig, a crappie jig, and I tossed it out thinking I was throwing at a crappie, and it turned out to be a 25, 30 pound cat. I like to never got the damn thing in on my ultralight rod, and ultimately broke it off when I got it up here at the side of the kayak, but I got it up long enough for you to be able to see it on video there. That's been a couple years ago. But that's the one big cat I've caught while specifically using live scope to target it. And I thought that's how bad at live scope I am. I mistakenly thought that 25, 30 pound cat was a crappie on the screen. So when I get the new kayak set up, this is not going to be part of the new kayak. Because I would rather have the 2D, and I've got a transducer for this graph that'll give me 2D, but it goes over the side and it kind of gets in the way, and it's another wire. So I don't even have 2D graph with this thing. I get where I'm going, I drop my live scope transducer down right over here on this mount, and then we can spin it around whichever way that we want to look. Right now I've got it going forward. But when I get the new kayak set up, I'm not putting it on. They make these mounts that are for ice fishing. Because a lot of people, I don't ice fish. We don't freeze over here, thank God. But even if we did, I wouldn't do it because I don't like being cold. But the people who do, they make these mounts where it'll hold your screen, all your wires, your battery, your power box there, black box they call it for a live scope. Everything's in one bundle, right? And so it stores everything compactly so that if you're ice fishing, you can carry that to your, what do they call them, shanties or whatever, the tents. You know what I'm talking about. So anyway, I'm going to get one of those, and I'm going to put the live scope on that portable mount. And if I'm going out and I'm specifically going to use the live scope, if I'm going to fish for crappie, attempt to anyway, or if it's a day I got a wild hair and I'm going to go try to find a catfish to feed to it, feed a jig to, then I will take the live scope out and put it in the kayak on that portable mount and go do it. But the rest of the time, when I'm just fishing like normal, I won't have the live scope on. That way it won't be in the way, because that's a lot, I mean, that's a big screen. It takes up a lot of real estate here in the kayak. Not to mention my front hatch there. I've got the black box. I've got the battery for that graph. I've got 87 feet of wiring in there because of all the wires it takes to run to everything. You gotta have your cord going. You got 2 cords coming out of your screen. One goes to the battery, one goes to the live scope power box. Then you got another cord coming out of your live scope power box because it has to be powered by the battery too. And so it's a ton of stuff. And I bought this thing. I got it on sale Black Friday a few years ago, 2 or 3 years ago now. I think almost 3 years ago. I got this live scope thinking that it would be like everybody says it is, that you just turn it on and catch big fish. And I just haven't had that kind of, I've caught more crappie with it. When I go crappie fishing, I catch way more crappie because of that box. Way more than what I would catch without it. That's 100% undeniable fact. I'm a terrible crappie fisherman, but with live scope, I at least catch some. But anything else, I haven't seen any great benefit. Oh my gosh, please be a perch. Please be a perch. Perch, yes. That's a good size one too. Yes, yes. I'm more excited about this perch right now than I am any catfish. He's trying to poop on us too. That's a good size. I'm not going to use him today. I'm saving him for tomorrow. We've at least for sure got one perch for tomorrow. Let's drop our 16 feet. Man, I'd love to get into a school of them things and catch about 3 of them at once. I'd sit there, if we saw a big school of them and we knew it was them, I'd sit there and spot lock on them. But yeah, that live scope, man, like I thought when I got it. And if you're new to my channel, some of you all have been here a while, have probably heard me talk about this a few years ago when I got it. But here's what I envisioned that I would do with it. I would take an area, let's say we were fishing on a ledge, right? And so normally if I'm fishing a ledge, whether I'm drifting, trolling, whatever, I'm probably going to move along 1/2 mile an hour, give or take. That's the speed I'm going to start at, right? And we can cover some water fishing at those speeds, but there's going to be a lot of downtime. There's going to be stretches of ledges that you don't catch fish on. There's just nothing there at that particular time. My thought was, I'll get this live scope, I'll face it forward, I'll run my distance out 80, 100 feet, look ahead of me, and I'll move along 2 or 3 miles an hour. Take the same path, get on the break line of a ledge, take the same path I would have taken anyways, and just look out in front of me. And if I see fish, I'll slow down, stop, present a bait to them. That's how I envisioned using this thing. Well, in reality, if you are fishing for catfish, a fish that is normally pretty tight to the bottom, they're either on bottom or just barely off the bottom, and you're moving along, it's hard to discern the bottom from a fish, especially because your transducer is so big. When you're moving, this thing's wiggling. And so when you wiggle like this, you see your screen bouncing around there. It's hard to discern what's bottom from what's a fish if there's no separation between it and when you're moving. And so it's incredibly difficult. And so it just didn't work out like I had hoped it would. And then I thought, well, okay, well, I'll at least be able to get bait a little easier with it. And it has made a difference on catching shad. You know, for instance, when I went to Louisiana, I lost a cast net first thing. I threw over a stump. Didn't know that stump was there. Had I had a live scope, I would have seen that stump. First off, I wouldn't have thrown anyway because I wouldn't have seen no fish. But then I would have seen the stump and I wouldn't have thrown there. So it helps you spot schools of shad so you know where to throw. And it helps prevent you from throwing over stuff that's going to snag your net. So very helpful from that perspective. But even from crappie's perspective, like, I've caught some crappie with it, but I'm not proficient at it. I'm not one of these guys, like, I can't just roll around through these creeks and drop jigs down to it. Like, for my best days of crappie fishing with this live scope, it's days where I see fish that are, I see them on the live scope, but they're stacked up on brush. Like they're on a brush pile or a tree. And I can spot lock off of them and toss that jig out. But to catch fish that are in open water, like them open water crappie, I can't do it. It's just hard. It's hard. One, again, I suck. I fully admit, I suck at live scope. It's a skill. All these people that criticize everybody online, the people who are good at live scope, you don't see them criticizing anybody about using live scope. It's the people who don't have it that see the success of people who are really good at it. They're the ones like, oh, it's so easy. You just turn it on and catch big fish. The hell you do. It's a skill to learn this thing. It's a skill I don't have. But them guys that are doing them open water crappie catches, when they find them fish out there suspended out in open water, it looks like a lot of fun. But when you're trying to do it in a kayak, these things get blown around. Even a kayak like this that's big and heavy, you're kind of at the mercy of the wind. Like, let's say we're working down through here right now, we see a crappie. I'm not going to be able to slow down to present that bait. Because, I mean, I got to line up the crappie with my transducer. I got to try to hold the kayak still, and I got to get that bait down there and hope he bites it before I move. Now, these fellas in boats, they're in these big fiberglass boats. They get blown around in the wind too, but not like a 100-pound kayak. It don't take a strong breeze at all to really get a kayak moving. It takes a little bit stronger wind to blow a boat. And now too, a lot of these crappie fishermen, if you notice, they've got, I think they're called brakes. They're basically trolling motors on the back of their kayak. So if they're moving up on a fish and they need to slow down, they can push a button and it'll fire them trolling motors in the back and it'll slow them down or back them up you know, without them having to spin their front trolling motor around, which most of those guys will have their transducer mounted on their trolling motor. And that would be better if you were in a boat, for sure. I would much rather have that. Now, for kayak purposes, I don't really want to do that because I'm not steering with my foot, I'm steering with a remote. And so it would be harder to stay lined up on a fish doing it with the remote and whatnot. It's better for me to have it on a pole over here, at least I think anyway. It don't seem to be better for me anywhere because I can't catch diddly-do with it. But I just chuckle, man, I laugh. I read that person had commented on my video and just said that he had seen on social media somebody was, I guess, had made a post about me or something and how I'm only catching the fish I catch because of live scope. And I thought, that's hysterical. You can tell they don't watch my videos and know how bad I suck at it. But I did have high expectations, high hopes when I got this thing. I thought if I can figure this out and apply it to catfishing, like, you know, I could maybe do something that hadn't been done to that point. And there's been some people since then that have come out with videos where they're catching some catfish with live scope and stuff. And it's one of them things where, like, kind of like in the wintertime when I've got on the bite there with the smaller catfish, throwing jigs to them. If you can see them, hung up here again. If you can see them up in the water column, what did you do? Okay. Well, we got out of the snag, whatever it was. If you see them with some distance off the bottom, and you can present a bait to them, you can get a catfish to eat an artificial. I just find it incredibly difficult to find that bite consistently. I just don't see fish off the bottom very often. That first winter I had live scope, I was seeing big schools of shad and then catfish on top of the school. Those were the ones I was picking off. But like, I just don't see that very often. Most of the time, if I see fish on that screen, they're right on the bottom. And I mean, if you're trying to toss a jig down 30 feet in front of you and 60 feet deep and get it to land right in front of a catfish's nose, like, that's hard. It's one thing if you're crappie fishing and the crappie's 6 feet deep and you've got a pole that's 15 feet long and you can just kind of set that jig down and drop it down right to his nose, that's one thing. But if a catfish is, if I'm fishing 60, 80, 100 feet deep and I see a fish out in front of me 20, 30 feet out and I got to toss that jig out there, maybe there's current and that's going to affect the fall, like, it's hard to get it in front of them. So I don't know if anybody's going to be able to, somebody will be able to do it. Somebody will probably get on one of these thermocline lakes where fish are going to be suspended and really be able to dial them in. That'll be the person who does it, somebody who's fishing on a thermocline lake. But I think if you're fishing a normal river situation or reservoir where fish are along the bottom and you're fishing deep, like, there'll be an occasional bite. You'll see an occasional video pop up probably of somebody who's really got on them and was able to target fish with live scope, but it'll be a one-off. It'll be a one video type thing. I don't think you're going to see a day, and this is a complete 180 from what I thought initially. I thought eventually somebody would dial it in. By now, I thought somebody would have it just locked in like the crappie fishermen do and the bass fishermen do. Like, somebody's going to have it just dialed in and they're going to be picking off big fish regularly with live scope. That hasn't happened. And there's so many good fishermen, so many good cat fishermen that are actively using this right now. The fact that that's not going on tells me it probably ain't going to be done. Outside of a unique situation, maybe with a thermocline lake and fish being suspended up the water column. But I don't think it's going to be a situation where a cat fisherman gets good with live scope and then takes the show on the road. It can go to any lake, any tournament, and show up and just dominate. The way that the crappie fisherman did, the way that the bass fisherman did. I just don't think it's going to work like that. So that's a complete 180 stance from where I was initially. That first winter I had it and I was catching small fish, but I was catching them and I was seeing them up. I'm like, man, if the bigger cats, if they're up like this too, at that time, I was thinking, okay, I'm going to get on them. Like, I'm going to figure it out. But no, I haven't been able to do that. And and again, I admit I suck. So just because I can't do something doesn't mean somebody else can't do something. But I just know so many other good cat fishermen out there are working with live scope all the time, and I don't know any of them that has been able to consistently go out on an everyday basis and be able to target fish with live scope and get big fish consistently with it. In fact, most of the live scope videos you see on YouTube, you do a search, pull up, watch them. If it is a live scope video, they're not even using live scope to catch the fish. It's going to be like a situation like with me oftentimes, where I have the live scope on, I'm fishing, you see a catfish come up and eat the bait or something. Like that happens, sure. There's somebody shooting at us over here. Bambi just met its maker is what it sounded like. But you see those videos, that's what most of the live scope YouTube videos are going to be. It's people filming their screen while a fish comes up and eats a bait. It's not them seeing the fish on that screen and then putting that bait right there on its nose to get it to eat. Sniping it, they call it, sniping. You don't see that on YouTube. I mean, I've got some videos doing it for the smaller fish, but like you're not seeing somebody go out and having a whole channel dedicated to that, having consecutive videos dedicated. You don't see it because it ain't happening. Or if it is, people are hush-hush about it. And I would be too, I guess, man. If I was a tournament guy, I'd probably keep that knowledge to myself. But man, I'd love, for YouTube purposes, I'd love to be able to do it. I'd have guaranteed content every day I go out, guarantee myself catching fish all the time. Like, it'd be great. But it just didn't work out like that for me. And you know, the problem now for me is, as far as trying to get better with it, even for crappie and bait and other stuff like that, is I just don't enjoy using it. I enjoy catching fish when I can snipe them. Like when I can toss a jig out and get them to eat, I enjoy that. That's fun. But if I'm not in a situation where I'm able to do it consistently, like if I'm not getting constant action with it, I get bored with it real quick. And I just don't want to do it. Because I know, and it goes back to the confidence thing, right? I can go around here, motor around, looking at that damn live scope screen all daggone day and not see crap. Don't see anything to throw at. But I know if I go over here on the shoreline and I throw my ultralight rod and my gulp, I'm going to get constant action, right? Like I'm going to be reeling in fish all day. So if I spend 20, 30 minutes and I don't get a bite or I ain't seeing nothing to throw at, I start playing the mind games to myself. I'm like, well, hell, Justin, why don't you just go right over here on the bank and start making casts? You're going to catch something. So, yeah. I'm just not a live scoper, folks. I tried. I wanted to be. It just didn't work out. Hopefully somebody will get it figured out. Maybe somebody will. I think there is potential in future generations of live scope, when the technology gets better, that we may be able to better discern fish from the bottom when we're moving at faster speeds. That would be helpful. But we're not there yet. The technology's not there yet, at least to my knowledge. Now, there may be some prototypes or some upcoming, because these things, somebody has access to live scope before live scope comes out, right? They don't just launch a product without having tested it. they've got their field staff people that are trying out these products and whatnot. So there could be technology currently made that would do what I would like it to do, but I'm not aware of it. You know what ain't happened though? We got bit. We just turned around, we got bit. That other cat. So we caught one, was almost out there to that point. It says about 20 feet deep. We got our big one. We turned, we started coming up in depth. It was around 17 feet, and we got that other one. Now we're at like 12 feet here. We got nothing going on. I'm really perplexed, y'all. This spot, I mean, there's clearly fish here. There's some fish here. We've gotten a few bites, but I don't think I can come back here tomorrow. I haven't seen enough. Who's texting me now over here? They'll have to wait. Don't they know we're busy? We're busy not catching fish. I don't think I can come back here tomorrow, folks. I ain't seen enough out of this place. If we had landed those first 2 bites, man, who the hell is blowing me up? Oh, it's Chris. Chris Minahan. Let's see what he's saying here. I think he's talking some trash. Let's see, he sent me, Chris Minahan, folks. He sent me, he's got him a nice fish. 42 and a half inch fish, nice. He says, you're gonna need about 3 of them to beat me tomorrow. I don't think you have what it takes to beat me tomorrow. I'll have to send him a picture of that one from yesterday where we got the, one is almost 44 inches there. Gotta love the trash talking between us, folks. Oh, it's in a snag we come out. But I don't think I can come back here. Yeah, had we seen them 2 fish that we lost and they had been 40+ inch fish, I would totally be willing to come try it here tomorrow. But the fact that we've actually landed 3 cats if you count the channel, but 2 cats here in almost 4 hours, I don't have, and the biggest one was a nice fish, 39 3/4, that's a nice fish. But I don't think I can come back here. I'm gonna have to go to the other spot and just sacrifice the time that it's gonna take for me to get back to the car and get back to check-in tomorrow. Fortunately, that ramp to the check-in location isn't very far away. So I've got that going for me. It's just, depending on where I end up, it's gonna take me a while to get back to the ramp and get loaded up. Oh, come on now. Y'all tell this snag to let go, would you? This snag don't want to let go, folks. Let me give it a little more slack. Let's try it again. Oh my gosh. We're gonna go back and get that one because I'm about done anyway. At this point, I'm pretty well done with this spot. I've got to go, I need to go get some bait. I mean, we got to get some perch. We know we need perch above all else. I'm gonna go back here and get this snag undone, and then I'm gonna spend the rest of my time out here beating the banks, trying to get us some perch, man. That's what I'm gonna do. Oh, hell, this one here, good thing we didn't get it bit. Well, it come free then. It was foul hook for a second. Here's what we know. My pre-fishing has been suspect. This has not been the best pre-fishing session for me. I fully admit that. Like what I've done here, I'm probably not a good source of information for you folks as far as how to pre-fish for a tournament, other than the fact that just do the opposite of everything you've seen me do. But we figured out, in the last 2 days, we figured out a spot that I have a reasonable expectation of catching big fish on. We figured out that dragging baits is the more effective of the two techniques we're moving, whether it's trolling with suspended baits or trolling with dragging baits. We have figured out that dragging has been more productive with that. So we got the perch as far as the bait figured out. We know we need to be dragging, and we have a location where we at least know there's some big fish roaming that area. So it's not been a complete loss, but I will admit the pre-fishing has not been, as far as numbers go, it's been a little bit of a grind, man. Everything's been tough over here at Santee Cooper this week. From day one when I got here, seeing the spot that I thought might be my tournament location just choked out with weeds, everything's been tough, man. From catching bait, to catching catfish, like I've had a hard time this week. It's not been my best performance. But if we can go out there tomorrow, grind us out 3 big fish, and do well in this tournament, it'll all work out in the end. And fortunately for me, I'm a pretty lucky person in life. Things typically go my way. And so I think tomorrow has potential to go well. I hope it does. There's a cat waiting on me at home that hopes it goes well too, because it wants to go to the vet. It may not want to get neutered, but it wants to go to the vet. This one here still looks like it's pretty good. I'm gonna throw this one back in the cooler, because if times get hard tomorrow, we may have to recycle. I hate to do that, but again, hell, what's it gonna take to get some bait out here today? I don't know. Yeah, folks, so here's what I'm gonna do, man. I'm gonna head back over here to where I launched at, and I'm gonna start beating the banks. I'm gonna take an ultralight rod, I'm gonna put on a gulp, I'm gonna try that for a couple hours probably, see what happens. If I'm getting bait with it, great. If not, I'm gonna run over here. I passed a bait store on the way here. Go in there and see what they got. They've probably got minnows, or they should at least have some worms. And I'm gonna either come back out here, or I may go hit a different site and see what I can get as far as bait. We've got to get some perch, man. We've got to. That's gonna be any chance of success tomorrow at all. We've got to have some perch. If I don't have perch tomorrow, I'm not gonna be very confident in what I'm doing. So, let me put my transducer up. So anyway, y'all, I guess I'll wrap up this portion of my day. Battery's gonna die here soon anyway. Sorry that there's not more action in today's video. Like I said, I ain't posting no damn skunk video, but today we got a nice fish. I'd be happy, 39-inch fish anytime, anywhere. But I really wanted to see more out of this spot. And maybe we would have if we'd had better quality bait and I could switch it out more often. I needed to be conservative because we didn't have much, and you know, I had to be conservative yesterday too, and we still busted 2 big fish. So not my best performance today. I fully admit that. That's fishing, man. That's fishing. You either can't get bait, or you got bait and you can't find catfish. It's always something like that, it seems like. You're always chasing your tail. But nevertheless, tomorrow, tournament day, we're going to the spot that I went to yesterday. We're gonna try to get us some perch, and we're gonna get out there and we're gonna grind it out for 6.5 hours, however long I can fish tomorrow. and whatever happens, happens, folks. So next video should be the tournament video for you regular viewers. Thanks for coming with me today and sitting through this. I know it ain't been pretty, and I'm sure I've pissed off a lot of fat people out there in my audience. I'm probably gonna get myself canceled over fat shaming. I ain't trying to shame nobody, folks. Again, I ain't trying to shame anybody. I'm just speaking facts. We got to do something about this seat situation. Airplanes, concerts, it's just, if you're sitting in a row with somebody, there's got to be something done with this situation. It's a problem. But anyway, I'm not going to get back on that again, because if I didn't get myself canceled before, it'll happen now for sure. So I'm going to get off here, folks. I'm going to keep making my way back over here toward the ramp, and you know, wish me luck tomorrow. By the time this video comes out, obviously the tournament's already over. Normally how it works with the tournaments, and this is our last one of the year, and they'll start back up next spring. But what I typically do, the day before the tournament, I will post a link in my YouTube community tab. It'll have the live leaderboard. These tournaments, everything's live. So when I submit a fish on my board tomorrow, assuming I catch some, that will go to the live leaderboards. Everybody can see your score. So I post a link to that. Anybody that wants to follow along with the tournament, I post it the day before. I'll post the check-in location on there as well, so anybody in the area that wants to come out, they can come meet me, see the other guys, see our kayaks, all that too. But I always post that the day before. But anyway, you're seeing this video after the fact, because my videos are a little behind, but that post should have done come out the day before the tournament for any of y'all that want to follow along. But anyway, y'all don't care about that at this point, because the tournament's over, and the next video that you're going to see should be the tournament video, unless I get skunked, and then there won't be no video from that. But knock on wood, I've never skunked in one of these tournaments. I've never not gotten a limit in one of these tournaments. So if we can get us some bait today, we're going to find something tomorrow. We're going to make it happen. But anyway, enough of this. I'm headed back over here. We're on a perch mission until dark this evening. So fingers crossed we get us some bait. I'll see y'all tomorrow in a tournament. Well, video, postscript, PS, whatever you want to call it, for those of you who have stuck around to the end, I got good news. It took a while, but I got on some perch. We got plenty of bait for the tournament tomorrow. I got the whole bottom of my kayak full. I had this rod just setting over in the water here while I was getting my camera out. Look at here. I got 3 of them on right here. How about that? At this point now, I'll show you here on the screen. See all them fish right there? That's all perch, man. Where the hell these things have been the last 2 days while we've been out there catfishing, I couldn't tell you. But I ran around here. I went and got me some worms at the bait shop after I was done catfishing. That's too small. And I come out here, use this same dropper rig that I've had the gulp minnows on, and come out here looking around on the graph, and I come out, I'll show you on the graph here in just a second. That's another 2, all of them right there was too small for us to want to fool with, and I start talking to the camera, and I got the hook and the anchor trolley there. But anyway, look at them, there's a million of them right there. And I finally come out, I said, this says submerged culvert here on the graph. And I didn't see no submerged culvert when we come by it earlier, but I thought, you know what, this old road bed going through here and where it says submerged culvert, I said, that's the kind of place back home, if I was a crappie fisherman, that's the kind of place somebody'd sink a brush pile. And so I come out here and I didn't see no brush or nothing, but I saw some small marks. And I dropped bait down and it was perch, and the next thing I know, I got a whole swarm of them right here. So they're just all down there by the gazillions. Again, I don't know where the heck they have been while we've been catfishing the last 2 days. But the main thing is, the important thing is, we've got them here when it matters. We got them here for tournament day tomorrow. The bottom of my kayak's full, so we're not going to have any problems with bait. Chris Minahan, he messaged me there this morning when we was fishing, and he's been giving me hell, you know, because he's been on some fish and a lot of them. And he said he's been on some bait too, and he said, well, Justin, I'll give you some bait if you give me some feet pics. And I thought, hell, I'm gonna have to prostitute myself with daggone feet pictures to Chris to get me some bait for the tournament tomorrow, but fortunately, I'm not going to have to start an OnlyFans for my feet today. Maybe tomorrow, but not today. Well, let's drop this back down here and see if we can get us a few more. Well, I got them. Boy, I've got a daggone mess, folks. So here I have thought I'm going to bust out the camera and film this mess for a couple minutes, and I've done got everything all tangled up all to Hades, and these fish don't even care. You know, hell, they don't give a damn about the line being tangled up or what, you know. They just want to get a worm on the hook. I got to bait this one up too. I've went through some worms out here. I was cutting them. Now I'm just trying to drop the whole thing down, trying to sort through some smaller fish. But you just drop this down when you're on a school like that, and watch this. They're going to be on it here in a second. I got one on it now. I'm going to just let them load up and try to get about 3 of them on there. All right, that feels like we got 2 or 3. I only won that time, but they got my other worms. That's what I'm doing, y'all. So good news for any of you that might have been concerned about it. I've definitely got us some bait. So between what I've got here, between what's on the screen, I'm gonna sit here and fish another 20-30 minutes probably. Just keep trying to sort through and try to get some better quality ones. Every once in a while you'll get one that's a little bigger, but I'm gonna load up and make sure that we got plenty there for tomorrow. So fingers crossed we do well catfishing tomorrow, but bait won't be the issue.